All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for hanging in there, and we are back with some more D&D online at gaming. And it's Thursday, so you know what that means. It is time for Song of Rapture. Now, we are running a little bit late, and Peter is also running a little bit late, but he'll be joining us later on. So without further ado, I'd like to hand the reins on over to Monsieur Omen, the DM of Song of Rapture. Mr. Omen, what do you have in store for us tonight?
When we last left our heroes, they were stepping into a strange new place. Not a new location anywhere they could find in Hearth. It was a strange world of monochromatic scenery. Grays, blacks, whites, and everything covered in, and it looks like a layer of fog and ash. Who could tell me what happened last time on the Song of Rapture? Ooh. An eerie silence falls over the Valiant Seven. Is it dice time, baby? Is it dirty dice time?
Do it.
Here we go.
Alright, I get to roll the dirty dice.
I didn't know if anybody else was eager for DM inspiration.
Are you an eager beaver, Gregory?
I've already got it. That's why I was giving other people a chance.
Okay, going once. Going twice. Alright then, it's all yours, Mr. Greg.
Alright.
That's another day.
Last time on Song of Rapture here, our group has been wandering out in these woods, trying to find Flash, witches from a long time ago that these neck of the woods, I suppose, originally guardians of this place, but long ago they turned to something pretty evil. They started snatching up people, as hags do. And, eventually, a hero of sorts emerged and came to cut them down, slaying two of them, and with one remaining somewhat feeble without her coven. Well, she was spared, I guess. As we met the daughter of that hero a while back, Marjorie, a woman that inherited a bit of magic from, well, sort of vile places. It seems like the witches had mocked her when they were being killed, and her mother wasn't able to really put an end to that. Mother passed away years past. We met her, and we made a promise to help her out with these witches and end whatever's cursing her. Took us a bit. We had a lot of things on our plate, but we've gotten back around to it. We didn't forget our promise. Exactly bad things be waiting. Marjorie had lost control of her path. Laid waste to a city of Thistle, and we set off to try.
Is he dead?
Uh-oh.
Did he cut out for anyone?
There he is.
Cut out? Where'd I cut out at?
Something thistle.
Marjorie's power went out of control. Thistle burned, and we set off to find the only person that we thought would know anything about what was going on with Marjorie. Her losing control of her power. The last remaining sister Ash, Baba Ema. The only way we knew how to do that was getting lost, so that's what we did. Not exactly sure what we were going to do once we found her, but eventually, wandering out in the woods, she showed herself, and we realized that there was some other things going on. She said that one of her sisters was still alive, and that they were turning Marjorie into one of them to replace the third, to make their coven whole again. We met her. We tried to talk reason into explaining that we believed her sister, a night hag, was doing ill. That she didn't want Marjorie to be one of them, that she was simply draining the life out of the poor girl, making her magic go wild out of revenge, or we're not really sure. But one way or another, we need to put a stop to it. Bobby only really saw the light, I suppose, after we fought her a bit. Even though the first confrontation ended with what we believed her slaying, but she's a powerful witch. She apparently trapped us in a place of strange illusions or something, as she was certainly not death. And with the second confrontation, it didn't look good. We were beat and bruised, a gigantic house reformed from the broken pile, or I guess the forced away nature of it, as seems like Luna's magic to force it to some other place of existence, and she struck out against us. It took a sacrifice from Quill, offered himself up to be punished, as apparently it seemed like Bob Behemoth saw us as not really anything more than just unruly children of sorts. Those that would come into a house, make a mess, and need to be taught a lesson. And we were. And with that, she finally agreed to listen to us. We tried to explain again how his sister was doing ill, how Marjorie was dying, and we had to do something. And the only solution that Bob Eamon had was, well, go see his sister. Night hag that apparently lived in a strange place, not exactly on this world. And with that, Bob Eamon called upon a bit of magic and whisked us away to that place. A place where the undead seem to roam. Not hostile, seems like simply lost spirits of sorts. And even the strange spirit that accompanied Luna seemed to remember the place. Pity, the thing that accompanied Marjorie even back in town. But here we are, in this strange place, seeking out the second sister. And try to figure out why in the world she's doing what she's doing, and hopefully putting a stop to it one way or the other. I'm sure things in there and skipped over some details, but here we are.
Gregory, who are you talking to?
I'm just praying to God, Quill. For the
Oh,
Holy Smite. And the Holy Smackdown. I'm gonna have to bring on this
By the
here
way,
on
it is
Thursday.
I hate it.
Very well done, Greg. There is one more detail, sort of forgotten, not without any fault on Gregory's own part, considering his involvement in the situation. When he left town in Oakwell, he took with him a relic that they acquired originally outside the village of Thistle, something somewhat involved in this dealing with the Wives of Ash. A great blade of mithril held by the hero who once struck them down, the mithril sword. Gregory took it from where he hid it in the church throughout his last endeavor, hoping to use the blade and putting an end to these Wives of Ash, but well, it seems like when a time came to pull the blade forward and almost aim it at his Corey, pouring his own divine magic into the weapon, it seemed to reject him. It seemed like it didn't feel it was connected to him as it once was before. There's something keeping this blade from being useful to Gregory. And so it has been since stored in a bag of magical temporal power, Luna's bag of holding. If only to keep it out of the gaze of the Wives of Ash and help earn their trust so they may hold a conversation. But indeed, give yourself, you already have some DM inspiration, I suppose. Roll yourself a D100. See what you get, baby.
37.
Oh! He wins! Jackpot!
Ooh, how close is that?
You
let's
get
all
100 Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
Yes!
I can get a Chinese finger trap. Fuck yeah!
Well, alrighty then. This will be fun.
As you die. Instantly.
Okay. As we return to the Valiant Seven, wandering through this strange, ghostly forest where ash seems to fall as if it were snow, the ground beneath your feet almost seems caked with it, just enough to sort of gather around the soles of your boots. as Baba Ima leads you through this strange other world. There we are. It's kind of a strange sight when you're walking through this forest. The trees around you at one moment would seem solid, just devoid of color. They have no leaves upon them, and what looks like could be some sort of foliage is actually just sort of gathered masses of looks like ash and maybe something else. And every so often you'll look in other places, and in between these trees, almost impossibly close to one another, are other plants, but they're almost completely translucent. You can see straight through them, with just a bit of obscurity to them. It's almost like multiple forms of life are growing here and just are sort of in contact, overlapping and wrapping around one another. You even notice, like, in some of the trees and along the grounds, the shifting of movement. You can see not people, but it looks like animals. You see at one point during the beginning of your travel along the road, there's this massive, like, silvery shape that looks like it's composed of smoke. And as it gets closer, about 60 feet or so, you realize it's like a ghostly bear. And it sort of wanders down the path you're going on, but Baba Ima, leading the way, doesn't seem to stop until she comes in contact with it, and the moment she touches it, the form just seems to sort of disapparate around her like smoke and then reform to the other side. And it just seems to walk unaware, walking between some of you, even through some of you if you're willing to let it touch you. It seems like if these are ghosts, they're not like the ones you've encountered before. They're completely unaware of you. But you've never seen ghost bears or ghost rabbits or ghost birds or ghost trees at that.
Seem familiar to me at all, God? Or alien entirely?
Roll me an Arcana check. Let's see how aware you might be of these things.
The place we...
Yeah.
You don't roll 100.
It's a D20, of course I don't.
Close enough.
You've heard of this place. It's never really been one of your interest, at least maybe not until now. You know this plane as being part of something called the ethereal. It is a transitory plane between the material and all others, even the lowest and most forgettable of the planes of existence. This one, in particular, being the thinnest sliver, sort of the shoreline of the great ethereal sea known as the border ethereal. Even you looking at these things, you know they're not ghosts. These aren't ghost trees, ghost animals. These are actual living things. But when one walks upon the border ethereal, they can see creatures, at least within a certain range of themselves, that are actually walking in the material. You could see them walking around as if they were there, but translucent. To a creature on the border ethereal, a living creature looks like a ghost. And it seems to be where you are, but the other trees you see, the ones that aren't transparent, the ones that stand tall and solid, well, they definitely seem like they're a part of this place. You can reach out and touch them, and though they're cold and they almost seem to crackle beneath your hand, the bark falling into shards. It's real, at least real enough. But you reckon this place is definitely, absolutely the border ethereal.
Figures she would be in a place like this. Where do we need to go, Baba Ima?
Oh, we must simply head in the direction of where you were. Ashen Lin likes to keep herself close to her enemies. This way, as she starts to lead you. It's actually really hard to tell what direction you're going in, because about 60 feet from your vision, this sort of becomes denser and denser until all you see is a wall of water. Similar to when you were on the island of Stroma, and it seemed like this strange abyssal power was causing frost to fill the air and cloud your vision. Only now, it's not freezing cold and draining your life. Well, it's just simply obscure. As she seems to lead you down a very crooked-looking path, sort of dipping to and fro. She's a bit of a slow woman. You can see her legs sort of tiptoeing beneath her body, and she stays relatively close to you guys, despite leading. It seems like she's sort of eyeing the area around her uncertainly.
I'm gonna pull out a torch and light it and see if it just cuts through the sort of fog.
Sure. Pull out your torch. I guess you look for something to light it on. You sort of scratch against the ground, or you pull out your fire starter, and eventually, it takes actually a couple flicks. Strangely enough, you catch fire, and immediately it almost burns you, Greg. This air is so devoid of feeling or obfuscation of touch that the moment the heat is created, just the amount of nothing between you and it is immediately consumed by the heat. But then it soon crackles, and you can actually see some color, at least on yourselves and around your. But the fire only seems to reach about 40 feet or so, sort of illuminating some of the strange, featureless surroundings. But it doesn't seem to quite cut deeper into the fog.
As long as it's just sort of keeping our immediate surroundings illuminated, Gregor's mostly just the fog just getting so thick we're going to lose track of each other, as he's going to try to stick in the middle of the group with this torch up above his head, just trying to keep track of everybody. Everybody don't want to know now. Hell.
Baba Ima, when was the last time you spoke to your sister?
It's been quite some time. The last time she spoke with me was how long has it been now? Oh, ever since you all killed that nasty little boy who tried to take the sword. What was his name? Little Lunge. Yes, about that much time.
That was months ago.
Months, days. It doesn't matter. It's only a short amount of time to me.
But a lot has happened in that month.
Yeah.
She just sort of shrugs, her little elbows going higher than her little hood does.
Just stay for certain. She must have been busy working all that time with all these changes.
What did you guys talk about the last time you spoke?
Oh, just simply telling her that the sweet little boy, that nasty little, lost his head over a little sword, and I lost a new friend, a new child to help. And so she told me not to worry, just to sit tight and wait for the next time she calls for me.
So is she always the one that calls you?
Oh yes, I call for her. She'll usually answer. She can be cruel sometimes, but she is my eldest sister. She does protect me so. But usually she does the planning. She sets the meetings. Even when we had old Yaga Jiva with us, it was always us men.
And
So
you do
whatever-
the obeying.
So whatever is happening with Marjorie, she didn't even plan this with you. She just started doing it.
If she is involved, it might be the case. Which is why we're going to ask her. We're going to see. We'll rule this out of her ledger.
Yes, let us do that. Rule it out, as it were.
The path continues on. You guys travel for an hour, 2 hours, about 3 or so. And again, it's like some of you more intelligent, able to keep track of all the details, able to keep better track of time. You know, it's been about 3 hours during your travel. It was about hard to say when you left because it should have been the afternoon, but the sun never came out in that swamp. And now you look up and you just see gray. You don't see any signs of sunlight or clouds. It just feels like you're completely cut off from any understanding of the world you're in. Hard to say what time of day.
Are we walking back to Thistle? Is this like exist here?
Yes, we are simply in the border ethereal, Gregory. It is a very, very thin sliver between the world you know and, well, many, many different ones. It is a grave reflection, if you will.
It's a beautiful little place that Ashenlin loves. It's everywhere and nowhere. It's right beside you, and you don't even know it. Look, as she waves her hand across, you see like a flurry of like, looks like crows flying around here. It looks like something had startled them, and her hands go straight through it. They don't even see us, and yet we can see them. We're in between the folds, as that were. Just where Ashenlin always loves to be.
Are we gonna make it there? We were days out or so.
Does time work differently here?
Oh, everything works differently here. You have a wife of ash with you. Don't you worry. I know the way to sisters. I know the shortcuts and the quick steps. Just follow my lead and bear with me. I'm not quite as agile as I once was thousands, millennia ago, you know.
First, Quill, we were walking for hours, y'all. I don't really like the idea in this place, but y'all need a break and just at least a bit. Quill, you'll back all right.
I'll be fine.
I don't want to waste a lot of time. Marjorie wasn't doing too well when we left her, and the sooner we can speak to Ash and Lynn, the better.
Alright. I just hope this don't take all that long.
Something I am curious about, Baba Ima. I know Ash and Lynn used to help people with nightmares. Do you know exactly how she did that? How she walked through dreams?
Yep, she was never privy on telling or showing. She enjoyed her secrecy from time to time, but I know she would visit them when they were sleeping, and she would simply take the bad dreams out of their heads.
Mm.
And she'd fill them with new life.
New
A
life.
wonderful feeling.
What does that mean? Fill them with new life.
When you're plagued with horrible dreams, child, dreams of losing loved ones, or being far away from home, or simply being scared of something. To lose that feeling is wonderful. It can drain you to have fear and nightmares in your mind. But without them, you'll have room to grow and heal. I always loved collecting those nightmares. I don't know what she ever did with them.
Collecting.
Well, they don't simply go away. They have to go somewhere.
Could she give nightmares back to people?
Possibly. She could be quite cruel at times. I imagine it would make a suitable punishment for especially naughty children. Very suitable punishment, actually.
Oh, but Emma.
So full of questions you are now.
Yeah. I had a chance to cool my head walking through this place. Why? Marjorie's mother came for y'all. Why'd she let you live?
You just see her little smile that's always on her face immediately just break. Almost like an illusion falls from her skin, and she just looks down at the ground, sort of brings her hands together in a bundle, her claws sort of scraping against her own skin. And it's clear even to you, Greg, that it's like when you strike someone's sore spot, when you bring it something harsh in their past, and yeah, it just guts them a little bit.
I don't know. I think she was punishing me.
Punishing.
And tried to take away something she loved, and so she took away everything that old Baba Ima loved.
She didn't say nothing to you.
She
You didn't
just
say
looked
nothing
me
to
in the
her.
eyes as I was clutching my sister, and she had that sword in her hand. It was raised. I was ready to die, and then and she lowered it, and she took that poor bloody little baby home. And I never saw her again. Just left me wondering why. Why she left me all alone. Has to be punishment. I wasn't very nice, I suppose. But she's dead now, it doesn't matter.
Persephone, feeling sympathetic towards Baba Ima, she just puts a gentle hand on her arm as she's walking alongside her. That must have been terrible to live with for so long.
Yeah.
If I may, I don't think it was a punishment. I think rather because you had always been so kind. That is what she remembered most of you, and maybe that's why she had let you be. I know it's not easy to see. It's just what I think was the situation.
She left me alive because I was kind. She took away my sisters because I was kind. She left me to go mad all by myself, hearing voices in my head, wondering if she was alive or if she was dead because I was kind. Perhaps. That could be the answer. She is quite young. She may not know what she's doing. But she's dead. It doesn't matter anymore.
No, I don't suppose so.
All that matters is Marjorie.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, no more dwelling on ghosts, shall we? Press on, press on. If you have questions of spirits, merely ask out into the void. I'm sure one will answer you.
As you do look up, and again, sort of like before, you see some of the mist and fog sort of wavering, and you can hear the sounds of these sort of disembodied voices floating around. As you guys continue to travel a little longer, this time some of you starting to feel the exhaustion of the day, the twin fights against the supernatural. Now just trying to really catch your breath in a place where it almost feels like there's no air. It's just, there's no real sense of true comfort here, and yet you have to press on. If you wait and you tally, who knows what'll happen. Until some of your surroundings start to change. It starts at one single spot that Luna, with your sharpest eyes, would notice immediately, because it stands out as something you're familiar with. Amidst all the shades of gray and the fog, there's one large mound of something that stands out harshly. It is crude, it is solid, it is completely black in color. It's like a mound of shadow just smothered on a tree. It looks twisted and tall, and it looks like this tree has been burnt. And yet when you get close to it and you look at it, you touch it and it doesn't feel hot, it doesn't feel cold, it just sort of breaks apart in your hand, like the bark just falls in tatters, like cinder. And then again, you're walking down the path and you see other spots, looks like where bushes would be. Places amidst this gray landscape just look like they've been scorched. And then eventually, coming around the corner, wandering around, looks like one of the few trees that haven't been horribly scorched, you guys witness something strange, and Baba Ima actually stops in her path, and you can hear her, like, whimper for a second, as shapes are moving down on this path in front of you. It just simply breaks through the fog that you couldn't quite see through, as it looks like these tall, gangly, dark shapes are circling around something. You're all set to the sight of these, it looks like just tall silhouettes of people, although as they move, you can see like tufts of smoke pull up and away from their body as they're reaching out and trying to grab onto something. And you can hear this like the sound of combat, like the sound of grunting and resistance, but it's cold and it's echoey. And you can see these hands grabbing onto this silvery gray body as you come across the scene of it looks like a spirit being attacked by these strange looking shadows.
What the hell is going on here?
Everybody get back. We just go the other way. We can walk around this. You don't need...
No, she
What?
looks like she needs help.
What is this?
Do I recognize them? Those are the same shadows.
You do immediately recognize them as being shadows, Luna. You see them, they're tall, they look like husks of basically living creatures. But they're different than ones you've seen. Most of the ones you've seen are like these twisted, desecrated, like just simply silhouettes of creatures. But these are somewhat different. Their bodies look like they've been somewhat scorched. They barely have any recognition to them other than it looks like, almost like if their bodies are made of wood, just like parts of smoke and soot just pulling off of them. As if their strange husk forms are falling apart. And in the middle, as you see them grabbing onto this woman, you see a woman dressed in, it looks like bright silver armor, her hair flowing down to her shoulders, with like, it looks like, hard to tell how old she is given her strange, desiccated state. But it looks like they're just grabbing onto her, and as you know shadows do, Luna, they're draining the very life out of her. Their touch is like spreading these like almost like a burn mark across her body.
We have to be quick, but we have to be careful.
Right.
I will firebolt.
As
We'll start in combat.
everybody,
What the
roll me
hell?
some initiative. We're gonna put on a little...
Defend
Pull my
yourselves!
greatsword out.
There you go.
Dun,
Rick.
dun, dun,
There you
dun,
go.
dun, 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 dun,
Defend
dun.
yourselves!
Oh, no. Oh, God.
The only thing I was going to ask is if I recognize the symbol or heraldry on her chest.
Hard to tell.
Guess I'll use my action to find out.
Use your action to find out.
The search action. Ah.
Okay. As quick on her feet, realizing the day, you see Persephone, this by these strange ethereal creatures. Their body's kind of hard to distinguish any real form. They just look humanoid and falling apart as they're just grabbing on to this ghostly woman. What do you do?
Seeing them immediately and not wanting to leave her alone against Baba Ima's wishes, I reach out my hand and a soft light begins to glow as one of them is surrounded by a gentle glow as I cast on them. Where's my little circle? Leave her alone! Yeah, that one.
Bigger than that.
Is it?
5
Is
foot
it
radius.
Oh, yeah!
Four squares.
It's been a while.
And that's how you cast it.
Cannon.
Alrighty. It seems like it looks like it would have this like illustrious color, almost like, you know, incandescent, like except from the Feywild. But here in this world, this comes down as this pale silver beam, right on top of this creature.
Yeah. I'm gonna move to the back just because it's safer back here.
That's gonna be my turn. So I keep
Agreed.
Great. As Gregory.
Know what the hell's going on, but alright! As I'm gonna start running towards these fucking things, looking like they're fucking attacking some random woman, although she doesn't exactly look alive herself. These things certainly don't look friendly, and so I'm just gonna run up behind this thing as I drop my torch to the side, as I put two hands on my greatsword and just try to swipe through this thing altogether. Just trying to dissipate its form, not really sure if I can even really hit this thing, as I'm just swinging out, trying to be a little bit tempered, as I don't know what to expect. So I'm just attacking out.
Nice.
Ugh!
Ooh. So just normal attack?
Just 12 to hit. Yep.
As you swing down this thing, its body seems so thin, and as you get closer, you can make out just the slightest more details. It looks like it was a corpse that was just completely covered in this like black fire, but now it seems to consume its whole form, as if it's like a living, burning shadow. But as you swing to hit it, it manages to catch and pull away, so the sword would come crashing down near its side, just skating away, as you see some of its form spray off and hit the ground and sizzle, but it doesn't quite make contact with it.
Hell, as my sword just hits the ground, I just change my elbow up and swing upwards into it, trying to cleave up at the front of its chest as I'm just swinging out once again. Again, just not sure what exactly I'm fighting, trying to test this out a little bit as my body's a little bit exhausted and the anger is sort of dissipated as I'm more confused than it. Ugh!
Ooh, and that will connect.
Strike. Just seeing how much I can connect.
Ooh, as your blade carves into its chest, going up to its shoulder. It actually make it quite far until the form seems to just break against your sword and then reform itself, as it seems to absorb most of the damage. Not quite as hard as you would hit, but as it does, the form shatters as the blade hits it, Greg, and immediately that spray of sizzling body parts comes spraying right at you as it smatters against your face. It feels like you're being burned, but immediately becomes cold, and the spots where it touches you are somewhat as you take 3 necrotic damage.
Ah, shit. Don't get too close to him. Damn shit, as I just try to wipe this crap off my arm, but with that, I see this necrotic horribleness like sucking away the life and heat out of my body. Alright, now if you can hear me, you can help me out here. As where this blackness stuck to my arm, you can just start to see as it's replaced by this shimmering light, replacing with like a large gauntlet and arm guard up the right side of my body as I change my stance to pull my blade to my left side, holding out my right shoulder as it's covered in this lighted armor, as I'm just going to cast myself some Shield of Faith on myself.
Nice.
That's my turn.
As Quill comes to you.
Alright, Gregory. Let's not let them advance.
Alright, I got this one.
I'm gonna do a little front line, and I'm gonna swing at the one in the moonbeam.
Okay. As you take your sword and swipe out once again, this thing, already being surrounded by this building beam of light, catches your attention after Greg's display and then pulls itself out of the way. But then you catch it to the other side and actually strike true to its body. And Greg, you can see as his quick little thin sword strikes into this thing and almost seems to spark with white light as it actually lands quite heartily. But as it does, again, cutting into this thing's body and actually having some sort of effect, leaving a lasting wound, Quill, you are also sprayed by this like sparks of blackness that touch your body and deal 3 necrotic damage to you.
Mm-hmm. That'll be my turn.
All right. And in the middle of all this, sort of surprised to see you guys here, she like opens her mouth to speak, but this ghostly form just like shakes her head, and you can see in her hand this sort of ethereal looking sword. It looks somewhat non-distinct, just like a simple long sword, as she turns it back and just strikes down at the one that you just hit, Quill. Ooh, that's the there. Ooh. As it actually cuts down into this thing and tears, but you can see, just like well, actually, no. As it cuts down this form, I see like its ghostly edge of this sword strikes into the body and seems to do in a similar way to what Quill's sword did, although it didn't seem to burn a hole through its body with magic. It just almost seems like an ethereal blade against an ethereal body might have a pretty effective use. And then a second strike coming over to the one in front of you, Gregory, trying to cut this thing down as well. Ooh, but just as before, as your sword catches to its side, it pulls away, trying to lean into the wound as her sword goes a little wide. But both times, her body is going to be smothered in this strange ash. Ooh, and actually, no, that one missed. So there's 4. As it strikes into her form, you can see these black embers floating in her ethereal form, sort of burning for a moment, and then floating down her body and escaping. Doesn't quite affect her.
Oh, what the hell you are, but the hell out of there!
as she starts to try and pull herself away from this burning white light. Doing so, one of these creatures is going to try and grab onto her. Ah. Ooh, and you see it reaching up, about ready to grab her until her arm raises up, and some of the ethereal matter rises into a shield, which she uses to catch and deflect this thing's strangely dangerous attack, as another one comes after her. Ah. Ooh, but this one reaches around her shield and catches onto her. You can actually see it like sinking its fingers into her form, dealing, ooh. How much? Ooh. Ooh. Sort of, and you see where her fingers dig into the body. You can see where this blackness begins to spread through the gray ethereal material. It almost seems like her own form is somewhat twisting and becoming thinner, like their own bodies, as it seems like she loses some of her strength. That's about as far as she makes it before her ghostly form staggers. You can hear this low, like, sort of echoey, ethereal escape her mouth. That's all she does. Javen, controlled by Luna, right?
Yeah, so Javen is going to run up to these people and see that everyone seems getting hurt after hitting them. He's going to use his breath weapon, but he has two breath weapons. He has regular breath weapon is 3d6, and then he has a dragon's fire, which is 66. I don't know what that is.
He has a big old bottle of special alcohol that if he drinks it and uses fire breath, he can get a super fire breath.
Oh, let's not use that while he's right here. So I'll just use regular dragon breath.
You know, 15-foot cone. I'm assuming you're going. Give me that cone. Unless you're just doing a straight line, basically. In which case, whatever.
Let's just straight line. Not really trying to hit her.
Opening your mouth and just exhaling this wall of fire that consumes this area. It seems like this wall of it starts off orange before it somewhat becomes thin and gray fire extending out into the environment. As let's get you. What are you gonna be? Boop and boop. Ooh, as they are nimble. And do. As you see the fire consume them, but it sort of just lathers across their body until the small ember flames become gray and eventually turn black as each of them takes a very tiny amount of damage.
MVP, guys.
Anything else you want to do, Javen?
That's it.
Okay, put you at the front. And Luna, you watch Javen breathe fire across these creatures, but it doesn't seem to have much effect. Able to pull themselves out of the way at the last second, and even the parts that touch them don't seem to do much.
Let's see. I see those targets that look pretty untouched, so I'm going to throw out twin cast bolts at these people.
Nice. At the back, boys?
It's the first one at the left.
That will connect, as despite there being large, the muscles of the group really, standing at the front line, be able to arc your little shot around and actually strike at this creature on the left, dealing what kind of damage?
Do cold damage.
Cold damage, as this crackling bolt of shadow sort of thins to like an icicle and stabs in this creature's body. It hits harsh, and then immediately you see the fire starting to melt and burn away as if it struck into cinders, as it does strike true, but not quite as well as you would have hoped. As that will also connect to the right guy. What kind of damage you do in 4 or 5?
Do lightning this time.
Okay. As the bolt of shadow sort of shivers and crackles into a spear that strikes into the second creature, but as it does, it hits harshly, doing a considerable amount of damage at first, but then you can see that crackling starts to sort of burn greater on this thing's twisted form, as it also doesn't quite do as much damage as you'd hope. It's still wounding it.
Fucking shadows.
I will just saunter on behind Persephone since she thought she could hide behind me, and that's not okay.
As you play Leapfrog with Persephone.
There is
Yeah, that's her
nobody
turn.
behind me.
All right, Samantha.
Going to go here. And seeing this one swallowed up in this spectral beam, and these ones not being too greatly addressed, Samantha is going to conjure forth her Eldritch Bow knock 2 green arrows and just kind of shoot them almost around this creature. The magic just seems to sort of curve around this one to get at this one.
Curve
so-
the bullet.
One at this boy, one at that boy.
Yeah, let's do that. So first one at the one in the moonbeam, and the second one at the one
Sure.
diagonal behind it.
All right, give me them shots. You fire 2 blasts of pure magical force. But your first shot strikes true. This thing is illuminated by this glowing spotlight. It looks like it's about to consume it. But easy to target enough. As how do you want to destroy it?
Ah, shit, that's not what I really wanted to do. I was like, I don't want to, like, make your moonbeam not do anything. Yeah, it just kind of catches me off guard, I guess, with how much magical force I conjure up, and just this thing just gets eradicated. It just collides. Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, it strikes so hard into its body, you just see it literally explode into like cinders and puff. Fortunately, not enough to really like strike out a Javen or quill anyone, but it strikes on the ground, just landing like as if it were just made out of burnt tinder. Then through that explosion, the second bolt goes flying over its form, and the creature behind it, ready to assail this ghost, sees it coming and then pulls itself out of the way barely, scraping across its shoulder, but not quite landing.
Now can I see what the symbol is on her chest?
There's a clear line. It's hard to really tell. It looks like it almost looks like a lion of sorts, but then it seems to like, I mean, from this distance, kind of hard to tell. It looks like it has some sort, either where it's armor or it has scales.
I take all 12 of my eyes and my advantage on perception checks. That's it for me.
Okay. As these creatures begin to move, you see them getting ready to retaliate. Samantha, Persephone, and Luna all around you, you hear this crackling sound. Some of you can't quite see, but some of you can definitely hear. All around these burnt spots, looks like parts of the bark, even the ground itself, begin to shiver and crackle as you see like an arm stick up out of the ground, almost impossibly, before it pulls itself out, as if the soot and cinder of these burnt spots are pulling themselves out of the ground and appearing all around you guys.
Oh gods, this is gonna be harder than we thought.
We should have left the spirit to die. I mean, it's already dead, honestly.
That's what I was saying.
Ooh.
Wait a minute, Baba Ema, why aren't you helping us?
She's retired.
You see her hands full up to her chest, and she's looking around. She's not quite... It doesn't look like she's really planning or doing anything, but she just seems to be watching.
I'm retired.
I'm an old lady. Give me a break.
As up here, now with new targets, this creature goes down to the closest one in front of him, looking directly
I
at you.
swing at him because
Yeah,
he
you do.
moved.
Running right up to you. Ooh, and you expected that. Its movements are sort of jerky and jolty, but it does definitely connect as you carve into its side, dealing a hearty amount of damage, almost completely cutting through this thing. But as you do cut, from its body quill, just a spray of that same burning and also cold ash covers your body as you take 2 necrotic damage,
You take my temporary hit points.
eating all your temporary hit points.
Oh, it's when
As
you
it
touch
comes
too.
forward, sort of burning into your body, you see its hand reach back and try to reach out and catch onto your armor. Looking like not even trying to hurt you, just touch you. Ooh. Not able to do
Step
so.
back.
Reaches easily enough, even with your not quite dexterous body, able to just lean away, step back, and its hand just goes right in front of your face. Doesn't quite reach you. But you, Gregory, a new target for this creature. It turns towards you, right next to you, and hand trying to go right for your shoulder. Yeah, give me that attack. Ooh, and although there's an enemy next to you and Greg's right here, you thread that needle and strike out at this creature. Doing 6 damage as you stab, as Greg, this thing's about ready to reach out at you. And Quill just extends out his sword and catches it on him. But again, Quill, as the sword connects, spray of embers coming on you. You can take 3 more necrotic.
Oh, shit. Oh,
As
thanks.
this thing seems to pull itself deeper onto your sword, even though it's writhing in what seems to be pain, and tries to catch onto Greg.
raise up my glowing right arm as I just try to deflect it away as quickly as I can without it getting its hands on. Hopefully my magic giving me a little bit of protection against that horrible necrotic.
Not quite able to connect. This thing veers around to the other side of the ghost, trying to stop it from leaving, as it also tries to reach out and grab it by the hand. Ooh. But again, seeing you guys raise your shields and deflect very easily, maybe a bit more confident, this spirit raises her own shield and pushes back this dark, withered touch. But as you guys are dealing with those problems all around you, those who decide to stay back, you start to notice these creatures lumbering towards you at somewhat of a broken gate, going after... You see this actually go between Baba Ima and Persephone. The head actually turns up towards the hag, sort of tilts its head for a moment. Baba Ima just kind of looks at it, and then it just turns its head towards you, Persephone. And the hand comes towards you.
Hi!
Did I notice this exchange?
As a hand extends out and tries to grab onto Persephone, but doesn't quite make it, as I'm assuming an 8 won't work.
Nope, it will not.
Down here, makes it about here. Creature comes lumbering towards you, broken body breaking like a skeleton, up towards Luna. It actually stops to look at you, grow a bit wider and brighter, as it uses both of its hands to try and catch onto you. But doesn't quite do it.
Thank God they can't roll.
I know, it's not their night. As one of these creatures starts walking forward until it immediately begins to break down and fall before it almost seems to crawl on all fours, strangely quick. As it uses its movement to dash up next to you, Luna, also seeming to take an interest in you. As Duke, creatures running down here. Again, they're running towards you, and as their bodies sort of stumble across the ground and begin to break, they reform themselves and move a bit quicker. They all seem to be moving toward their closest creatures. And up here, let's see. When these creatures come tumbling down the hill towards you, Samantha, eventually landing on the ground before pulling itself up, and a hand just extends out towards you, trying to touch you with its withering hand. Ooh! And catching you off guard, the fingers dip into your side, and you immediately feel this burning cold. It almost seems like this terrible sensation, similar to the island of Stroma, beginning to sap away at you as you take 9 necrotic damage, but...
And it takes 20 cold damage.
Ooh! As it touches your body, the scales just seem to explode off of it and hit it. Like double damage. From your armor back at this?
Yeah.
Okay. Activate right before combat?
No, I cast it. You can check the session. I cast it when we got in here.
Hours ago.
Yeah.
Hours ago.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I was gonna say, okay.
Time doesn't pass.
Yep. As hand extends out towards you, touches you, you feel that 9 necrotic damage draining at your side, and then immediately that feeling of like your armor, your weapons, everything you're carrying on you. God, do you even have your battering ram right now? It all seems to be growing heavier and heavier as your strength is reduced by 3 points.
Okay, this isn't pleasant.
As again, these creatures running, stumbling down the hill and breaking before their bodies reform in this sort of soot smoke-like fashion as they're all running forward to approach. That will be their turn, Persephone.
Seeing as we get surrounded, I quickly wave over for my beam of light to hover almost like around me and Luna and glow right on top of these guys here. Oh god. Out and get swung at by 3. No, I do not. And I'm just going to stay there by Luna's side. I'm not going to leave her alone in this shithole. And that's my turn.
All right, Gregory, you're fighting these things off. You see one of them get cut down by Samantha's magic, but then you turn around, you hear Samantha cry out in pain, and you see even more of them coming out from the surroundings.
Yeah, as I just fighting off these couple things, the 3 of us up here, starting to cut these things down, but I start to hear things behind me. I turn around and they're just swarming the group like, tail! Oh! As I turn and I just start booking it towards the group. Damn it. As I look at the light on my arm. Come on. You hands me before, hands me one more time as I run up right in front of Baba Ima, just trying to catch my breath, trying to see what the hell she's doing in all this, as I just stop right in front of her, looking around. We're treading you home, but you gonna leave us be! As I pick up my sword and slam it into the ground as just light explodes all around me, as I channel my divinity to just push away this undeath, these horrible creatures all around us, as I turn the unholy.
Okay. 30 feet of you.
Everything at 30 feet, which I think is everything.
Juicy! Oh, that's
Ooh.
juicy!
Yes,
Just slammed the sword to the ground right in front of Bobby.
so saucy.
Let's see. Oh, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Big boy, big boy, big boy wisdom saves. Let's see.
My DC is, what is my DC? 14.
14, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's the rolls, guys. That's
Not great.
Yikes!
I got what, 3 of them?
Failed.
4 of them. I got 4.
4 of them.
Ooh. All right. One moment. Almost got to put on some tokens. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
You got the good one, Gregory!
Two,
Watch it just be the 2 ones in the fucking moonbeam.
two,
I swear to fucking God.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
The odds were I'd get like 6 of them? 7 of them? Not great.
6. Okay. As you see among them, this ripple of power runs through this area, and for a moment, it almost seems like this golden light basks in this gray landscape. But as it does, Greg, I don't know, maybe these things are resilient, or maybe in that moment your spirit was just sort of untethered, uncontrolled, as it seems like some of them react, like their bodies immediately sort of shutter stop and start to pull away from basically where they can see you. Others stand resolute, their bodies almost twisting and contorting in terrible ways before they focus back. But this time, all of their eyes seem to be on you, Greg. And even among them, the spirit who you just aided a moment ago turns her head toward you, and her form seems to shimmer for a moment as that pulse runs over her, and you see her blade sort of lower.
Get the fuck out of here.
You wanted to run, right?
Oh, come on, man. As I just raise up my right arm, release my blade in my other hand, as I just try to put my holy magic in between me and these things that got their eyes. That's my turn.
Gotcha. As Quill, you see these creatures, some of them standing resolute, some of them look like they're pulling away from where Gregory's standing. The only one that doesn't seem to be phased by it is the one right in front of you there.
I'm gonna swing at the one that doesn't look phased.
Ooh, as that will connect. Ooh, that second strike, though, you swing once and carve into its body, and it recoils in pain, taking a good amount of damage as that same ash sprays upon your body. But only a small amount of it. You're prepared for it this time. Only takes 1 necrotic damage. But the second strike, as it reels, it pulls itself away from your sword as it misses.
I'm gonna go stand. Yeah, I'll go stand there. Bonus action. That'll be my turn.
Nice.
Oh yeah, this dude totally could have attacked me. I forgot to mention it. These 2 dudes up here when I ran away.
Probably. I'll get 2 attacks on you. Why not?
Gregory gets
And
double
boom.
critted.
Yikes!
One of them gets me.
As
That's
one of them
not
does
good.
touch you and drain for 9 necrotic damage as you're... Again, it's hard to notice. You're already a strong guy. Maybe your muscles just begin to ache a little bit. But barely able to hold on to that magic.
Strength saps away. Fuck.
As this spirit Looking around, looking at you, Greg. She tries to keep herself resolute, and then she begins to step away, pulling herself as far as she can to the edge here. As this creature just seems to completely ignore her. The one that seems to be facing you, Quill, is holding its wounds, not quite paying attention. As she puts herself to the wall, that's about as far as she makes it. She tries to turn her head away from this. It looks like she's trying to look at like a bright beam of light, and it's almost blinding her as she just turns away and tries to raise her shield and stop it. That's all she does. Javen.
I'll take these.
Okay, good luck, bye. Javen will just pummel this thing. Just attack it. Regular attacks with flurry blow as well.
All right. That's just a flurry of strikes trying to punch out of this thing's ethereal form. Give me them punchies. Ooh. That first one goes wide as its body just seems to bend in just a direction that avoids it. But as it bends and contorts itself to avoid the strike, 3 more will connect. Give me those punchies. Ooh, As you strike down harshly, punching and kicking this thing, you can see its body spraying out in terrible bursts of this ethereal ash, but it seems to be barely held together. But you, Javen, will take 3 instances. 1, 2, 3. A total of 8 necrotic damage as you are just sprayed by these strange cinders of evil magic. But it's barely alive. Anything else, Javen, my dear?
That's it.
Okay. As Luna, you see yourself surrounded by these strange creatures you faced once before. This time, not quite the same as you've seen them before, but they're still very recognizable as shadows surround you, and their eyes are fixed on you in a way of, we can only really convey of interest from a face that has no real features besides 2 embers for eyes.
I turn and see Persephone standing right next to me, protecting me. I'm just gonna move over here.
As you're gonna get 2 attacks coming after you, Luna.
Just one.
One. Can't use this reaction.
Oh, you're right. As only one's gonna be trying to reach out and touch.
It did something on that guy.
Ooh.
Ooh.
As you pull away, one of these creatures' hands extends out dramatically long and actually catches onto your arm, and you feel this terrible cold as you take 11 necrotic damage. And as it pulls away, it seems to drain some of your strength with it. Your body becomes heavy and slower a little bit as your strength is reduced by 4.
No resistance. Chronic damage. I feel like I should be.
Nope.
Wait, no ASMR.
It's a dirty, dirty human.
As I will. Oh, what was it? Okay, that's good. Gonna create a wall of fire that kind of goes through the point that I was in, which is the only reason I lose. I care about you, Persephone. It's okay.
I will remember you.
Wait, what?
Oh, she gonna burn you.
Yikes.
Oof. Okay, give me that wall, baby.
So, like,
Ooh, you get a lot of them.
Give me that wall. Is it going? Oh, so is it right there? Okay. As this wall of, I'm assuming, black flame is rising up out of the ground. Post me that spell card real quick. I want to see the dimensions and remember. I gotta remember how the spell works, baby.
It's like a
Should be
foot
60
thick.
Foot long.
Yeah, it's longer than that.
It can be.
Yeah, it's not that thick though. It's just 1 foot thick.
Okay, so yeah, up to 60 feet long. So you can make it as long as you want. Up to 20 feet high. Make it as high as you want. See, 20 feet down. Okay, cool. Here's each
I'll
creature
do the
in
full
that space.
60. It's just, wasn't measuring it.
Gotcha. Okay, so within the wall. Okay. But only a foot thick. That's fine. Just extend it like that. Yep.
And you get to point which way the heat's going.
So obviously it's going this way.
Obviously. Like God intended.
I believe it also obscures.
Yep, it's a solid wall of fire.
Yep.
Okay, so you're just running it through there.
Wall of
Let's
fire.
see. Okay, so considering it's only about a foot thick, this creature, that creature, about 4 of them must make their save immediately. 1, 2, 3, 4. As 2 of them seem somewhat nimble, but the first one, who does seem to be the quickest to avoid danger after being horribly pummeled, can't quite defend himself and just explodes in this wall of black fire, almost seeming to become a part of it as it dies. Down here, this guy horribly fails, not expecting it at all, as between you, Samantha, this wall of fire just immediately emerges, just like a foot or so away from your face, as this thing is consumed within it. As it takes twice as much damage. Down here, you take it too. As again, same way with you, Persephone, just the wall rises just in front of you, barely cutting away from you, as this creature reaches through and its arms seem to be catching fire. Down here, this guy... Ooh. A bit quicker, although he's in the middle of the flame. He seems to be in something of a safe spot, still hardy enough to actually absorb some of the fire, and not quite take as much damage. He is still kicking.
That'll be my turn.
Alright, Samantha.
Okay, so if I shoot these dudes, it'll be a disadvantage, right? But if they try to hit me, it'll also be a disadvantage.
Yeah, seems like you're attacking through a wall that you can't see through. The advantage being, you can shoot through this wall, they have to reach through it.
Also, if you move, they don't get opportunity attacks because they can't see you.
Is that how that works?
Yep.
Because it's an opaque wall.
I'm sleeping in my bed. Someone takes a step away from me. I draw my dagger and hit him. I didn't see you, but I knew you were moving away from me.
No,
Triggering
On my Lannister wood.
There's like some stuff that happens with like invisibility, and it's like, oh hey, you're invisible, but I still know where you are because you're not stealthy and shit like that.
But you gotta see them. You gotta know they're moving away.
Gotta be able to see him.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a flat rule. So what do you want to do, baby?
Go there, shoot that fucking guy. Yeah, I can see him, right?
Okay. Yep. You step around behind Baba Ima and over Persephone's head. Thankfully, with a hunched over Crone and short Persephone, easily able to see over their heads, but that doesn't matter because you can arc your magic either way. You can get a shot off on them. You're gonna shoot 1 or 2.
2.
Okay, doubling down. Give me them shots. Alright, as you're veering your magic over around Persephone and Baba Ima, it strikes right into this creature as both will land. Give me them damage rolls.
And we're just gonna yeet him into the dark.
Okay. As you blast him with your magic. Ooh. As you see his form almost get completely destroyed by your magic, barely held together, and then he gets launched, let's see, directly 10 feet. 20 feet there. Poof. Knocked away until you cannot see him anymore past this wall of fiery darkness.
Never mind, go ahead. You got it. That's it for me.
Okay. As these creatures begin to...
Fire doesn't generate light.
Yep. These creatures begin to quickly make their way away into the actual edges of this abyss. I want to have anything to do with what the hell's going on. One of them tries to pull away from you, Quill.
Swinging at him.
Swinging at him? Oh, as you connect. And as he swings and turns away from you, how do you want to kill him?
So this sword just goes right down that spine, just...
You stab down its back and rip down its body, and as it does, it seems to unravel whatever's keeping this thing together as it lets out this loud puff sound as its body disapparates, and it is dead. Down here, this creature down here has to give... 2 of them have to give you con saves, Miss Persephone, as though you can't see it. There's still a big, beautiful beam of light. Ba-bow and ba-bow. Ooh, one of them not so hardy, but the other one's still standing strong. 8 damage. Ooh. As you see these hands sticking to the fire, trying to reach up to grab at you, Persephone. Suddenly, the light seems to finally find strength in this area, and then woof, you see like these white cracks running up its arm until it just immediately explodes. As this creature seems to be very affected by light and fucking dies.
Yes.
This creature down here is somewhat resilient, even though it barely avoided the fire. The light burns away its body. The flames seem to be put out for a moment, but it still stands strong as it takes still a strong amount of damage, I suppose, as the light still affects it. Put you to the front. Let's see, you're down there. Scared boys are going to try and run away. You see one of these creatures trying to pull away from you. You're not quite in its range. Persephone, going to pull away from you.
I have Warcaster.
You do.
Can I shoot it with a thorn whip?
If it tries to leave your range, sure.
Yes.
It's pulling away from you.
Fuck it.
Oh, as you whip out your hand towards it, its strange jerky movements. It goes right over its shoulder, catches for a moment, but it seems to tear away a superficial part of its body as it does not quite connect.
Oh well.
As you see it actually run down here towards this patch of soot, and it seems to just smash its face into the ground and shake its head to and fro. Sort of like you're seeing someone put out a torch, until its body just seems to flatten itself against the ground.
Fucking ostrich.
This creature down here by you, Luna, this time you're standing right next to it. It looks strangely terrified as it turns its eyes toward you. Its head sort of jitters and shakes, and then it makes its way down here, trying to make itself away from your vision and away from Greg. But the rest of these creatures gotta still do stuff. This one next to you, Quill, with it sort of falling apart, is gonna reach out to try and touch you. Yeah. Ooh, but not making it as your shield is back.
Poor ghost girl is just gonna have to run forever.
Damn it, Gregory, you scared her away.
She'll run away for a minute, then she can walk back for a
I feel like you can go farther if you run for a minute than walking for a minute.
Oh, did we lose Omen?
Uh-oh.
Oh no! As each one of these drop 1,000 platinum pieces.
They're just made out of platinum.
Yep.
But it's Ethereal Platinum, so we can't take it back.
And Holy Avengers.
Let's see. Are these guys gonna charge through the fire?
We're checking to see if this guy basically started inside of it. Does moving through it make him forced to save?
No, if you're already in it, you can just
Yeah.
go through it.
As this thing pulls it, okay, I don't know, my rolls can be red, but I'm gonna roll it anyway. This creature steps out just to the edge, and then as its body seems to be consumed in this black fire, tries to throw its arms on top of Mr. Javen. That is stepping through the wall, gaining its sight once again, and going for the closest creature. Can you see it? It rolled an 8. It missed. As Javen, too quick on your feet, able to duck and weave out of this thing's vain attempt to strike you. As this thing down here is going to pull itself through the fire. Going to get that damage roll again.
Do it now. Burn him.
He gets no save
Give me that damage.
as it eats Baba.
As it runs through the fire, and it actually sees this fire like surging as it runs through. Now finally at its full strength. Although again, its strange body seems to just sort of absorb some of the fire, although it still leaves it quite well damaged. As it's gonna veer around again, running to Baba Ima, her arms, its arms extend out to try and grasp onto her, then it stops. Its head sort of twitches to and fro, and then it steps away. And this time goes after the big, strong man around her. As hands are coming after you, Mr. Greg.
Oh shit. Raise up my arm as it grips out at me. Seems like the light around my arm just flares outwards, almost solidifying into this gigantic metal arm as it just grabs onto it and rips part of the light away, but my skin is unscathed.
Nice. As the light beats back the dark. And then down here, this creature took his damage as it pulls itself out. You can see its body now cracked with these white silvery lines running through the fire as well, as it's going to take... we'll just take that damage roll. 33 to 2. Ooh. As it pulls itself through the fire almost mindlessly until it consumes itself, almost completely destroyed. But as it does so, it's going to reach out and try to catch onto you, Persephone. It's trying to grab out at something that has life. 17 will not do it.
It will
As it
not.
reaches out and the shield rises up and catches it, not quite able to hit you. And down here, this creature is going to just run itself into the fire, looking for something to catch onto, and then immediately as it does, you see these hands go through the wall and then drop as they disapparate. The rest of the body is destroyed. Yeah. As they are dead. Persephone, you're alive, your magic's still up, but now there's one of these things barely put together trying to reach out to drain your life.
As I see it come through the fire, I wave over my moonbeam again so it can follow it like a homing beam. Is that words are hard? And I look back at Baba Ima. Can't you tell them to stop?
They're not mine.
I'll tell them to stop.
And that's gonna be my turn.
Alright, as Gregory, you hear Baba Ima calling out, these things aren't hers, although they definitely seem to be avoiding her.
Then get the hell out of the way! As I just leave my blade in the ground, take a step this way, as I just put my arms out in front of me. The magic seems to course onto both of my arms as I just try to ram into this thing, as I'm trying to basically bear hug it. Trying to resist the necrotic all I can, but I'm trying to grapple this motherfucker as I just ball my body.
Alright, give me that athletics check.
Fuck!
Ooh, as this thing is already broken and damaged, but your arms wrap around it, Greg. But as you do, you feel this crunch as its body is incredibly light and incredibly fragile as these sparks burst against you as you take 2 necrotic damage.
Oh yeah. Alright, as I just push through with this thing, as I just crush it back into the one behind it, as I just use it as a battering ram and just shove it into the wall of fire, shoving the guy behind him in.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, I don't think he can make that. No, he can't. As you just take this thing, holding this strange, broken, writhing form, and just use its sort of ethereal body to batter the other ethereal body with your Oakwellian simple knowledge. It seems to be quite effective as he gets shoved harshly into the wall of flame. Give me that damage roll.
Wall of flame. Nice.
Ooh, as it gets pushed into the wall, you can hear it writhing. You can see it writhing its hands through the black fire as it catches quite nicely. Although when it strikes into its form, you can see still the fire on its body still somewhat burning bright. Although the rest of its actual somewhat physical ethereal form is crackling and falling apart. It's still very much alive.
Yeah. As I grab this guy, shove him into the one on the left, as I just keep trying to barrel forward, as I'm not sure how you rule this, as I'm trying to basically shove him right into the end and just let go of him into the wall of fire, just trying to leave him right in.
Sure, that's fine, as you're trying to extend him out into the fire.
Yeah.
Give me a straight d20 roll.
I'm gonna just release my grapple as I get right to the edge of the fire, as I just basically release him, as hopefully he's just right in front of me into the fire. 3!
Ooh. As you take him and you extend him out, his body sort of contorts, and you do basically almost toss him into the fire, but as you do so, your hands graze the firewall, as I'm gonna need a dex save.
Dex save.
You're
I see
sticking your
it
hands in the
coming
fire.
though. I know
Yes,
I know the danger of what I'm about to do.
You know the danger.
I tried to time it as best I can so I don't fucking catch myself. Ooh, 23.
Ooh. As fortunately, you do shove this thing in the wall, and you actually see its body get immediately destroyed, as it is just immediately evaporated and consumed and made part of this black firewall. But you, Greg, your hands get sort of stuck inside, and you pull them out. You see your gauntlets now burning bright, or I guess dark. But you're able to pat them out quickly, as you're going to take 13 fire damage.
Gotcha.
That fire's hot.
Shit. I got this. I just pull back my scorched arm as I try to rub it, saying this other one to me. That's my turn. I think that's
all right.
Totally a cheater. I didn't think he'd let me do it.
I was about fucking Nick changing his wall of fire so it just does 5 times 8.
Just max damage.
As Quill.
So the blade wraps across my shield and sparks fly out. I swing at this creature with advantage.
Nice. Ooh, how do you want to kill him?
As this blade will just like rip across the shield, the sparks fly out as it kind of catches its eye up there. The sword just right through the head. As Quill will quickly, in one motion, just make the turn and the spin and lunge at this creature as well.
Yep, and as you stab this thing in the face, Quill, that spray of ashes are going to catch onto you, doing 4 necrotic damage.
Good thing I got temporary hit points from that.
Nice. As you come down here and strike out this guy, that will also connect. How do you want to kill him?
As I'll just like jump off this stump, as the sword will just go straight through its head, right into its neck. As I'll just pull it out, like, that's 4.
As another spray of this necrotic, it seems that most of it gets consumed by the light it's surrounded in, but still some make it out and catch onto you, Quill. Taking 3 more necrotic damage. Is that your turn?
Yep.
As the spirit puts her back against this wall, she sees that the battle seems to be coming to an end, but still, her eyes, she just keeps her shield raised and just sort of lowers herself, trying to keep her eyes shut away from what she's seeing. Nice. And Javen. Still one creature left. It's basically stuck in the wall. You could try to punch him, but you're going to be punching into a wall of fire to hit this guy.
Would I get a deck save?
You would certainly do so.
Fire?
You would certainly do.
Yeah, let's punch him twice. Would that give me like 2 instances of like wall of fire damage?
I would say for the sake of attacking something, we'll see how you do in your first check. Okay, as you swing your fist out. Give me that damage roll. Give me that damage roll. Ooh, and give me the dex save. Ooh. As this time, like, you're losing a bit of your grace here. These things have been spraying you in the eyes and in the body. Like, you're losing a bit of your cool touch. As you swing your fist out and you just punch this
+3 to that.
face. Oh, as you punch this thing in the face, and immediately as you do, this ripple of ki runs down your hand, and this thing just explodes and is destroyed. But as you do, for one, you take a spray of that necrotic damage as the ashes get in your face again, and this time your hand slips a bit deeper into the fire, as you're going to take a little bit of that wall damage. You mean that wall damage?
Oh, he's fine. Yeah.
As again, you pull your fist out, it starts to burn with this dark ethereal flame, but you're able to shake it out quickly enough using your evasion to help quicken the flame off your body, taking only half of that to 11, and then you're a dragonborn. Your scales sort of singe, but they're not so terribly burnt, as you take 6 damage.
5 damage.
6 damage, fuck you.
Damn!
Dex, my DM isn't rounding properly. Oh.
Is it my fault?
As after the next few moments, Luna, you see one creature. You see a couple of these creatures still running off into the distance. One too far for you to see. The other one looks like now heading down to the south, just getting away from you guys. Anything you want to do? Seems like they're fleeing.
I like hold my action to like Eldritch Blast it if it starts coming back at any point in time. That'd be my turn.
Okay, and Samantha, let's see. Boo! You can't really see any other creatures. You just see Javen punch through the wall, and the one thing you can really make out at the far end, just in the distant edge of the fog, looks to be that spirit with its shield raised before it. But nothing else really seems to assail you.
Yeah, seeing, looking around, seeing, it looks like the coast is sort of, kind of clear, but not really. What? Come back, we won't hurt you. And she, like, Samantha just tries to do her best to seem friendly, even though she's a horrifying monstrosity. And just, like, wave this woman over, but then she kind of sees the shield raised and turns around and sees Gregory and just kind of...
Yes, there's just a sword stuck in the ground, and you can just see it's like slightly glowing and slightly dim.
Take it over.
A sword, don't break it.
It's already broken.
Fragile.
Don't break his other sword.
Yeah, so she puts together that she's like scared of the sword, but doesn't know anything else beyond that. She's just looking at her like, "What are you? Come on, what are you doing?" And that's it.
Okay. As you're watching this thing, both, I guess who could all see it? Yeah, both elves and the shadow woman Luna. You watch this creature moving itself away from you until eventually it steps outside the range of your vision, off into the fog. You can hear the crackling of its feet as it continues to run, before eventually it just vanishes. You. After a few moments, you're looking around at these burnt spots, looking off into the fog, waiting for the next strike, but it doesn't seem like it's coming. And sooner than you expect, it all just seems to come to an end as battle is over. As a new one begins. Where's that?
First shadows come out. They drain your intelligence.
As you're left in this ethereal fog, you see Baba Ima sort of just catching her breath. Oh, that was strange.
What was
And,
so strange about it?
As I'm like walking around the tree and eyeing the burnt spot, sending my moonbeam over there just to see what would happen.
As you move the movement over, you can actually see it start scorching the ground. As you see the scorch marks look like themselves are being burnt until after maybe about 5 or 6 seconds. Almost seems like it's scorching the ground clean.
Perfect.
Keep doing that, Persephone. You are so very useful.
Just laser surgery on this world. Sure.
Looks like there's
And you start
another one
taking
up
some
here.
time moving your magic around. And as
See,
seems
I
like
can still reach this place as I go over and pull my blade up out of the ground. As I just see the light fading. As I know I don't have really any control over it, as the magic of it will just fade in time. Look around, see this woman cowering. He'll be all right. Just give it a bit.
Is everybody all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
I never quite realized how heavy this battering ram is.
Why do you keep bringing that with you everywhere?
I mean, you never know when you might need a good battering ram.
Shadow creatures, battering ram.
I mean, it's great for breaking down doors.
Yes, that would be lovely, but we're in the middle of the forest.
Well, you never know. Maybe there's some kind of... Well, we just fought her at her house. They're very useful.
Just like coming up to this woman, Samantha, still worried, and not, necessarily at her tip-top fighting shape, so she's gonna have just her face and 6 of her snakes looking down at her, and just 2 more just behind her head, just holding eldritch blasts in their mouth, just little orbs, just waiting to pop up and just shoot her in the face if you try something silly.
okay. As
Something
again, she
would
doesn't
do.
seem to be looking at you. She seems kneeled before this wall, the shield raised before her face, and as you get closer, you can sort of hear the sound of this sort of strange, ghostly, muttering, chanting, and as at least maybe Samantha gets closer, it becomes more recognizable. It sounds like praying. Hard to say. Just sounds like
Samantha.
a praying verse.
What are you doing?
Trying to see if this entity can speak. It sounds though like she is praying.
And as
I'll
you
walk
approach
right up
Quill,
to her. Yep.
she looks up at you, and you can immediately recognize sort of the characteristics of this person. she's ethereal in appearance. Even her armor seems to be somewhat translucent. But you see there's markings of it looks to be some sort of creature on her chest, almost like a dragon without wings. She looks up at you, and you can notice that it's definitely the crest of a knight. As her eyes lock with yours for a moment, sort of with a sense of, it looks like caution, maybe fear, and then a sense of recognition as she just speaks out.
You're alive.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna reach my hand down and try to pick her up.
As she, after a moment, it seems like her shield starts to lower ever so slightly, and then her hand moves forward. The sword in it just seems to fade out of existence, and she puts her hand in yours, and it's a weird feeling, Quill. Like, there's a presence. Like, it feels like you are holding a hand, but there's no warmth, there's no weight, and yet she sort of uses you in your physicality as leverage to stand.
How have you all got in here? This is not a place for the living.
No, she brought us.
And her eyes slip past you, over Gregory and his sword that now seems to dim, and over to the creature behind her as she approaches. You see Baba Ima approaching with a smile, then her face just breaks again. And she starts to back away. No. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
Ima?
No, 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 not this one, not this one. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead.
Stephanie, see what's wrong with her.
Right.
What is your name, brave knight?
This is interesting.
Hell. Fall after Purse.
Cancel out the Eldritch Blast. Steps ahead
As-
of everyone else.
As the ghostly woman turns toward you, Will, and she just sort of tries to gain her composure once again as she puts her hand at her side. Her shield seems to fade. And she answers you. My name is Mila Haynes.
Pleasure to meet you, Mila. My name is Quildor of House Door.
A knight as well.
Look, Samantha, you were right.
I don't know how, but I just had an interesting feeling, I guess.
How was it that you got here, Mila?
Like any other lost soul, fair knight, I was slain by a vile creature. My life taken by the one who rules this domain. My soul finds no rest. Eternal strife in this endless forest of nothingness.
Well, we're here to try to put an end to that thing that's here.
Are you absolutely sure that whatever brought you here is the reason that you can't leave? I have experiences with ghosts. Are you sure it's nothing else that's keeping you on this plane?
And she looks towards you, Luna, her eyes sort of flare again. And this one can talk. Strange. As she steps forward, sort of eyeing you up and down, as if she can't quite make out your features.
Yes, I am a person. I am capable of speech. That is what we do.
I think she might mean speak to the dead.
I mean, but you guys are speaking to her as well.
But most of the time you can't if you're on the material.
You do not look like the other entities we've fought. You do not look touched by her magic. You are simply dark. But you have come to my aid. I cannot think ill will of you. Thank you.
Can you elaborate more on this whole dog thing?
This is the land between the living and the dead. And it is where the wife of Ashen Lynn has resided for so long. It is where she holds her power. It is where she desecrates the souls she takes. And she motions towards where the burnt spots should be. And those she takes and tears into tatters. They are left behind as husks of ash.
It sounds to me like you still have a battle to wage.
My battle is endless,
Well,
such as Ashenlin has seen.
perhaps after this day it won't be. Join us in this battle.
You wish to slay Ashenlin?
Well, I mean, but we're here to help our friend.
Yes, this girl they call Marjorie.
You see her eyes just go wide, and her hair, almost like there's a wind blowing, starts to rise.
She's dying. This witch has cursed her somehow. But no worries. We will protect this girl.
She's dying.
That's what Persephone says. That's why we're here to save her.
I am sorry that your first news from beyond this place is so grim, Mila. But it is our goal to save her, to save your daughter.
What?
Haynes, a quite accomplished guard, and, well, a tragic story, if you will. The mother of Marjorie. Gestures towards her with a single open hand.
You do me honor and recognition, but I cannot accept it.
Well,
Marjorie is dying. She is cursed by a witch. It has not left her. It has stayed with her this whole time, hasn't it?
It has. It has been troublesome for her, though we are counted amongst her friends. She has them, even in spite of the problems her affliction has caused. And that is why we are doing everything we can to put an end to this. Everything, including chasing after fables, after legends, to aid us against, well, hags. She just kind of Samantha just kind of orders all of her almost all of her snakes to kind of look around her and look behind her and try to see where Baba Ima is. Is she on the other side of the tree?
Yes.
You can kind of make out this small hunched form trying to hide behind this tree. By the time you get to Persephone and Gregory, you see her pulling her hood over her head, and immediately she just starts to fade out of existence.
Oh, Baba Ima, no!
As you reach out and touch, you still feel her. Ah.
Oh, you're still here. It's okay. Are you okay?
She's dead. I said she's dead. She can't come out. Why is she here?
What the
Haynes!
hell are you talking about?
A woman. Look, my sisters.
I look over at Greg. The spirit. She's Marjorie's mother.
What in the hell?
But why would she be here?
What did you do? I look just at the empty space where the witch would be.
No, I did nothing. I hid from her. She gave me my life. She could kill me. I wouldn't face her. It must have been Sister. Sister took her life. Sister took her soul. Sister took her life and must have taken her here.
Your sister killed her.
Sister's always protective of me.
kill the mother, then she kills the daughter. As I start to walk back towards the other group.
Well, if she spared your life, and I'm still certain it wasn't to punish you, then perhaps speaking with her would help.
No, I'm not going to see her.
Do I have to go with you? I will take
No.
you to her.
No, just make her go away. We'll go see sister, just make her go away.
Baba Ima, maybe she can help us understand what's happening with Marjorie. She cares about her too. That's why we're all doing this. Remember?
Roll
To
me
help
persuasion check.
Marjorie. Ah.
As you just hear this strange, as you see the tree next to you, these impressions, looks like sharp objects being pressed into the face, and then another set following after them, as it looks like a pair of hands and feet are just crawling up this tree.
You can't hide from your problems in a tree, Baba Ima. I know because I've tried it and it doesn't work.
I'm assuming I hear that and just like kind of.
God, I wish Clyde was here for that moment.
Watching Persephone look up at the tree and seeing maybe like the branches or something shake with all my extra eyes. I'm just like, oh, God. Okay, well.
Yo.
Okay, you can stay up there, but you're gonna have to come down eventually. We still need to see your sister.
As Gregory, you approach, you see this spirit talking to Samantha, and Quill turns her eyes toward you, and then her brow sort of raises in recognition.
You.
Mrs. Haynes.
That power you drew. I know that power. I know that feeling. Are you too blessed with light?
As she sort of steps between you, Quill, and Samantha, sort of phasing through to get closer to Greg.
I make way for her.
Yeah. I'm not exactly a follow I am, but faith is a large part of my life. I'm sorry all this. I'm sorry we. Your daughter, she's in danger. That crone. She led us here to talk to the one that took your life.
Talk.
Your daughter. Magic in her has gone. It's out of control. It has damn near destroyed Thistle. We came here trying to find Baba Ima, trying to get answers. We knew you spared her, but we didn't know why, and maybe we thought we learned something, but that old crone's gone mad. She's lost her damn mind. It was all we could do to try to get her to bring us here so we could figure out why her sister was doing this to your daughter. She has to be stopped. Do you know anything? Where she is? Anything? You can just start to see the exhaustion just start to wash over her, Gregory, now that it's all so much.
Mm-hmm. As she looks you over and seeing you just becoming more and more tired, she actually reaches out and puts a hand on your shoulder. And you sort of feel this weird chill as a ghost touches you, sort of helps keep you right up and not slouching in your stance.
I do know where she resides. In a grave echo of Thistle, burnt down with shadow and ash. But I cannot go there myself. As she pulls her hand away, you can see that cold feeling as she moves her hand away. The tips of her fingers begin to turn like ever so dark, as if they're withering away, and down to her wrist it becomes this like twisted, like mangled skeletal hand, similar to the ones that were reaching out and grabbing onto you, until she notices it, and then her eyes sort of flare, almost in the same sort of flash that maybe other people have seen when Greg pulls upon his powers, and you see like this silvery flesh of her ghost skin reclaiming itself.
The closer I get to her realm, the stronger her influence becomes, and the more tattered my soul becomes. It is everything I can do to stay in this form, not lose myself to her magic. It is the cruelty of Ashen Lin. I stood before her with a blade in hand, and so she sees fit my punishment to fight forever against inevitability. But you carry the light of gods in you. Does that make you an oath keeper? Have you given your word to a great power, and do you draw upon it?
I don't know what to say. I admire the gods. I wish to follow their teachings, but I haven't sworn myself to one of them. No. I, even though how great the gods are, it's always gonna be something more important to me. I have sworn an oath long time ago, before I really knew anything about the gods. It was to my family. I think that really will give me strength.
You're devoted to them.
I,
As you see her hold out her hand, and you see again that ethereal, looks like a long sword forming itself. And from that devotion, you pull light. And just sort of a soft crackle, this silver light begins to run along the edge of her blade until it consumes the whole thing. As it looks like very much in the same vein as you have found, Greg, when you hold a weapon in your hand and you hold close to your heart the reason why you fight. A light is drawn upon your weapon, just as it does for Mila Haynes.
what is this?
It is purpose. You need not swear to gods to find their favor. You merely find something true to yourself, something worth protecting, and the gods will provide, but only those of true heart. It is what I had, and from what you're displayed, it is what you have as well. And that may be key to bringing an end to Ashen Lin. Her sisters were creatures of the Fae, you see. Creatures bound by light and burned by iron, but Ashen Lin is not. Ashen Lin is a creature touched by the far realms of this world, by the darkest of entities. She is fiend, and it is the light of gods that casts away the fiends.
Hell. Before you do this, as I just hold out the blade, shove it into the dirt in between us, you need to know the truth. We found your blade. I pulled it from its resting spot, and I don't know, I had some idea that I was worthy of something. It chose me. When we came here, when I saw what Mondra did, what your daughter did, I started to hate her. I couldn't think of anything else but why she let something like that happen. How she could lose control and hurt so many people. I hated the hags, what they had done. I started hating you for letting that one live. And your sword, when I asked it to help me, it didn't answer. I understand now that My seed of evil had started to grow deep. When we saw that hag, she was like a child. She acted like we needed to be punished for being... like she was playing some kind of game. Like she didn't understand what was going on. And I don't know if your daughter understands what's going on either, and I almost lost myself to that hate. If you really think I can do this, if you have faith, someone like me, that stop from losing myself to that damn hate, I'll do my damnedest too, but I ain't pure. That's damn well certain. I don't know if I ever will be.
You are an honest man. I can see that. It is why Truth Seeker would accept you if it did. You have the blade with you.
No.
I glance over to Samantha when she asked about the sword.
So do I.
You just all see at least one snake looking at you each, with me looking at Mila Haynes. And you just see, like, she just seems to go almost completely rigid as she just quickly contemplates. Okay. Luna?
Huh?
Just kind of like reach behind and over and into the bag of holding without waiting for a response.
As Samantha does that, Persephone, with her high enough insight, is going to go over to the tree and check on Baba Ima. How high up is she, if I can see her?
So I'm going to go right by Gregory so that we make a human or a body of armor
Roll
on
me
a
a
wall.
perception check, Persephone. Yeah, you can see claw marks going pretty high into the tree, but they seem to go into where some of the branches become thick and bundled. Maybe she's in there, it looks like? Can't really hear, definitely not see her.
Tries to see her.
Okay. Cast your magic, poof, pulse comes out. Everything around you sort of sings of this strange sense of undeath, but in the middle, cradled in this tree, sort of you can see like the weirdest vague shape, like a silhouette of a child, like fetal together in the middle of this bundle of branches as you sense Faye.
Okay. As I'm gonna start trying to climb up the tree to join my poor child.
Poor grandma.
Oh yeah,
Guess I give the bag of holding to her.
I could use my my gift to help me up.
How crappy of a climber is she?
Spider-Man now. She has a thorn.
Clyde's watching all the way back in Oakwell.
He just senses that Persephone's trying to climb.
Oh, I think Persephone's trying to climb something right now.
Clyde, eat your dinner.
Hopes and prayers. He says it's hopes and prayers.
Yeah, taking your time, but using your thorn to sort of grab onto a thick branch and pull yourself up. You're able to basically bring yourself up to the bundle of the branches as, Luna, you hand over the whole bag of holding?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. To Mila or to Samantha?
Not to me. So
I
just
say, like, okay.
reach in. Oh, God, it's even heavier than it was before.
Oh, yeah, it is like...
Oh. As I just like I just drop the bag and I just like let go of the bag and try to hold on to the pommel with both hands as it just hopefully gravity assists me and it just yanks it out of the extra dimension. What's up?
Are you all right?
Thing's so fucking heavy. Yeah.
Do you need assistance?
I've got it. Trust me. I ask for it when I need it. Oh.
As you're extending out toward Mila.
Yeah.
And she just takes it very gingerly by the blade and just plucks it like a feather out of your hands.
When the blade didn't answer me, I I can't. What the hell? Shit. Never mind, man. I guess we do.
She looks it over.
I got it.
Gives
back
you
from
sort of a
too.
glance. Gives you sort of a glance, Samantha, seeing how much trouble you had lifting it out.
So what does she look like? Like, I know what Quill looks like when he's holding his sword, right? And I would assume that she hasn't seen her sword in a long time. Like, what does it look like? As this is probably the first time in 50-some years that she's held probably her best friend.
At first sight, it was surprise, mostly just the display, seeing this Yonti slowly dragging something out of a small bag that slowly reveals itself to be a familiar sight. Then sort of a weird look of concern and caution as watching Samantha struggle to carry it. And then after she's actually has it in her hands and can carefully hold it, the only real solid thing to her now compared to her ghostly form, there is sort of this look of like familiarity, almost like a smile cuts across her face, but there's mostly this look of pain. And she looks the blade over. Truth seeker. Weapon cut down the darkness. You said it claimed you, Sir Johnston Gregory.
Gregory Timberson, ma'am.
Sir Timberson. Truth seeker does not claim and then disavow its claims without warning. You can hold the sword. It recognizes you. But you must understand, when Truth Seeker was given to me, I was a knight with a charge. I was an oath keeper. When I give my word, when I make a decision, I stand by it, whether I am right or wrong. Truth Seeker is the blade of such oath keepers, and it carries my burdens. You tried to raise your hand and this blade against a woman that I had chosen to spare. A blade that's meant to protect will fight its wielder. It saw your heart as being true, whether full of hate or malice. It would stay in your hand, but it would not accept you to strike down the one it was designated to protect.
You wanted to protect Baba Ima with this.
I spared her
Wow.
life. It's been so long. I remember that night. With this blade, I cut a woman in half and watched her spill across the floor. I tried to sink my blade into that vile fiend, and when I thought I had destroyed her with its magic, I realized now she had merely fled, slipping between the worlds and escaping to her haven. Then I saw her, as she looks off in the direction of where Baba Ima was, but now no one's there. On the floor, cradling what's left of the ones she loved. It was a strange thing to see such cruel creatures mourn for another. I'd thought perhaps, as foolish as it was, that woman could be saved. But seeing the circumstances now, seeing what has come of sparing the life of Baba Ima, I do not know.
No. Let this be your comfort, knight. Your action, I do not believe, caused this. If anything, it's the only reason we can put a stop to it. See, allowed us to appeal to Baba Ima to convince her that her sister is not all that she seems. I would know a lot about that, And it seems that she is quite much, as you would know now, still alive and, well, I think the only thing that is harming Marjorie.
Thank you. As you actually see like a look of almost like relief come across her face, and as it does, some of her silver skin seems to fade ever so slightly, and you can see what was normally sort of like this little effervescence appearance to like, it's like a ghost would, sort of soft features become a slightly more defined, and you can see the lines of age and weather and exhaustion upon her face. And then she turns up to Gregory. It is my word and my oath, my decisions, my burden will keep this blade from striking down Baba Ima. But I know for certain it will fight, and it will cut down the woman I scorn. But the fate of Baba Ima will be in your hand. As she turns the blade around and hands it to you, holding it by the actual sword itself. But you must know one thing, Sir Timberson. You claim the blade to be mine. It is my legacy of my knighthood and my oath. But look at me. I am dead. My oaths are unbound. And though I fight in this ethereal world, I have no word to keep. Only my sense of protection and my resolve. If you wish to undo the burdens placed upon this sword, just as it has claimed you, Gregory, you must claim it.
I understand. I asked Jordana a while ago if she wanted to keep her soul, because it was yours, and it should have been hers, but she told me it was better if it was out doing good. I didn't really think I was worth it to do that good, but I've made a promise as I reach out and grab the hilt of the sword. And I damn well intend to keep it.
As you grab the sword, Greg, you feel a familiar sensation. This sort of stabbing in your heart, not of pain, just invasiveness when you first drew the sword from the water. As you feel like almost like a refreshing sensation of when you first pulled the sword out, you answered that question, you answered truthfully, and you felt it claim you. And this time, it's almost like begging you a question. Who does this sword belong to?
I made a promise. And I'm the one that's gonna damn keep it. And my soul's gonna help me as I pull the sword away from him.
As Gregory. You pull the sword away as it sort of leaves her hands. Again, that silver light still sort of casting from whatever she touches onto the weapon. You see it sort of slink away and it begins to glow brighter and brighter. And the handle just seems to continue to pull from her hand as this holy light, this nimbus expands from the weapon. And it seems like you're brought back to a familiar sensation when you were spending several evenings after a long day in the forge of the Stonehand Smith, taking your hammer and your steel and smashing it into shape. It was crude and simple, but you had a shape in mind when you made that weapon, a purpose. And now that sensation is familiar as the light consumes the weapon and seems to not grow lighter in your hand. The weight seems the same as when you first drew it, but now there is a balance. As the light begins to fade and you hold a blade much larger than it once was, you no longer hold the mithril sword of the truth seeker. You instead hold the mithril greatsword of Gregory Timberson, the solemn blade.
Aw, shit.
I couldn't have done it by myself.
I fucking love that. As Gregory, when he first drew the blade, he had some thoughts. Thoughts of sort of what lust, as he may have given the blade a name in the back of his mind, even though he was too embarrassed to tell anybody about it, as it finally takes on this form. He knows that name was right. He takes the sword. Thank you. I'll do everything I damn well can, but when this is over, when that fiend lays dead, what are you? Your daughter's hurting. Bet she'd like to talk to her mama again.
That would be nice.
I'll see what I can do.
She just sort of has like a pained smile on her face, but it almost seems to be beaming with new life as she sees this mithril sword expand in size and fit its hand to its new wielder. But as she steps away, you can see again some of that light begins to fade from her hand, and again some of the darkness begins to creep up her arm. And this time, as she looks down and her eyes flash, the repair is slower.
Mila.
As Quill just wipes a tear away from his eye, witnessing this.
I have I have a black handkerchief right up my face. Just fucking. Oh, sir, 10%. I'm so proud of him. Mila, I could sense a bit of hesitation with that idea. As I just talk in very, very, like, just basically almost whispering in her ear, but just 5 feet away because I'm not literally up in her fucking face. Cause that's weird and that's personal space. I have a very odd proposal for you. Well, I wonder. Give me a moment. As I just kind of go around her and go over to Luna.
As Luna, you totally heard every single word of that with your 20 passive perception.
Oh yeah, of course. But it's Luna. I needed her to know anyway. Luna, do you know if... And she just kind of gestures with, like, I guess her eyes to Mila. If something like her would be impossible to take from this place. If for just a moment.
Do you mean bring her back to life? Or what do you mean?
She hands you the bag.
Do you want me to put her in the bag of holding? I don't think it works that way.
You can't put in there?
I mean, she's not particularly physical. I feel like she would just phase through the bag like this as I do her.
Through Mila? As she just sort of turns, you see you swing the bag, and actually your fist sort of catch almost on something physical, and you pull, and she suddenly reels back, as it seems like you actually take a part of her body out with the bag, but then immediately refills. What on earth are you doing?
But you're right next to me. You can't hear the conversation?
Giving you your privacy. Why are you trying to put me in a bag?
It was a very strange idea. Honestly, the chapter on transfiguration was very confusing.
That is not exactly what I meant. Hell.
Why would you put her in a bag?
The bag can hold just about everything and tons of it, so I thought if we could put her in there, she wouldn't rot or fall apart as she got closer to, well, to Thistle.
A knight of her lineage does not deserve to be put into a bag.
She doesn't deserve this either, but I think she does deserve to see her daughter, doesn't you? From Quildora back to Luna. Well, I appreciate you trying. Sorry about that, Mila. It was my attempt at being nice.
Strange company Marjorie has kept. But you have been
Yeah.
kind to her.
We are the Valiant Seven. All 6 of them.
What?
Two can be
Where's
valiant.
Persephone?
In a tree, trying to hold the invisible Baba Ima like the poor scared child the woman is.
Like,
Yeah,
what do you crush Luna in your arms every night on stream?
Yeah, she lets you cradle her, but yeah, she just doesn't really move. She's sort of rocking back and forth, just muttering to her. As Milhain just sort of looks around. Strange company is befitting of my daughter, I suppose.
Your daughter, she's I don't know if it was from the witches or something else, but before she helped us, she was able to see things just by, I don't know, using something attached to it. I just thought if she knew that you were still here in some way, maybe she could, I don't know, reach out to you or something.
Perhaps. When you find Ashen Lynn and you cut her to ribbons until she has no more strings or hold left on this realm, when the spirits are no longer bound to her, perhaps in that freedom, I may see her one more time.
Alright then. Well, you heard it, y'all.
Yes.
Get this done with then. Let's put an end to Ash and Lynn. Something that should have happened a long time ago.
Gregory. You
Yeah.
look like you could use a rest, though.
Yeah. I don't know if we got the time, but I don't know if our gods and much mana keep guiding us.
As Persephone
Mila.
cradles and hums to the air beside her.
I understand. As she stands forward in the middle of this place, you see again, she puts her hands together for a moment, and you can see for a moment like light beginning to form. I do not know how long it shall hold. I will put my faith in you to end this madness. As you see, bit by bit, from the ends of her feet to the tips of her fingers, that silver skin begins to rescind back along her body. And you see, like, as it tears away, like in ribbons and tatters, it begins to rise up and dissolve into this soft, glowing light. As eventually it pulses out throughout the area, and it feels oddly familiar to you, Gregory. The same sensation when you just stabbed your sword to the ground and just sent the spirits flying. So too does she sort of send a similar feeling. But as she does, her body begins to darken and crackle and break until finally she just sort of lets out a sigh and her body begins to just fall apart.
Wait, what are you? Hold on now, what?
She's sacrificing herself, Gregory.
You don't need to do. We can. You find a way. Come
I
on.
will do what I can to keep them at bay. And I will keep myself whole as long as I can. But please, find your rest and bring light to this dark place. As you see the darkened parts of her body begin to break apart until it's just her head, and then the etherealness sort of just fades. But as you look around, Greg, you can't really see it or feel it, but there's almost like a lingering sense, like if just the slightest amount of your eye had come back, that feeling when you send that pulse out and can sort of scatter the vicious creatures of this world. Sort of that same essence has sort of been scattered around this area, although you're not sure how long it'll last. It's almost like everything's become, even from your eyes, somewhat consecrated.
So I want you guys all to know that Bama Ema just watched that entire thing, saw us pull the sword out of my bag of holding, and probably is angry at us.
Or mine. If she was angry, though, Wouldn't we have heard her?
When she ran away from Mila Haynes, she was. I don't know if she's in much state to really notice anything. Lost her damn mind. Versus. How was she doing?
Is she still like
Go away.
Go away.
She's gonna need some time.
Sounds like we should rest then.
Yeah.
Please. And Samantha just reaches into her bag with the little bit of strength she has and pulls out a wineskin.
I don't know
Okay.
how much time we got, but. Hell, I don't know. Try to catch some sleep as much as we can.
Based on, well, I've been right twice. We might only have an hour.
Alright.
It'll have to do.
Walk over the side of the hill, just slump down with my sword, plop it against my lap, let us look across it. Is my old sword still stuck in the ground?
Yep, it seems to be standing up, and as you're looking at it, you see like after you gave it some time, it's almost like rust is forming upon some of the metal where the ashes sprayed and just seem to like, I guess like drain some of the strength out of the actual like ferrousness, iron of it all. It kind of looks like, in comparison, looks like it's starting to see better days.
Let's look over at it. Good job. You did what you needed to do. I hate to leave you here, but I guess you can mark this spot.
Go ahead and rest your eyes. I do not need to sleep, as you all know, but perhaps then I can keep an eye out and see if we can fully recover ourselves in this place.
Yeah, I'll try to do what I can.
I can't see too far.
I'll just sit cross-legged and start sharpening and cleaning the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Taking my short rest.
That's the big thing. Are you guys taking a short rest or a long rest? Are you buckling down for the night, or are you like just taking a breather?
That's a hard one.
Yep. Because one is like we're packing down, making camp, just literally taking it easy, trying to just regain all of the energy you just expended in this whole hag endeavor, or you're keeping your strength up and just catching your breath for the next hour.
I'm
Even
probably
with
gonna
the-
focus on taking a short rest, patch myself up, and if the magic that Mila Haynes left behind remains as strong as it was to begin with, then it looks like she probably bought us enough time. But that means we're gonna have a 9-hour long rest instead of 8.
So you're doing a short and then a long?
That seems like that honestly does seem like the smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, all of Thistle may burn down, but for Samantha, her survival comes paramount, so that is what she would suggest.
This'll will burn down if we die regardless.
Look at you flexing that wisdom.
You don't make me comfortable to be one in this place for so long, two being here while Madra's doing all that, but the mama gave us this gift. I gotta have faith in what she's done for us. It'll all work out.
I'm gonna lift my ring to my lips as I still hold Baba Ima closely. We should probably get some sleep. I don't think I'd be able to face Ash and Lynn with my magic in the way that it is. It's better to go at full strength than half, just in case it goes bad.
If Marjorie is indeed that woman's daughter, She's stronger than she appears. She can withstand even more.
I hope.
And as everyone starts to buckle down, hunker down for the night, question mark. I'm just gonna reach out into the space before me, and in the center of all of us, there'll be like an ethereal flower blooming as my bubble bursts around us. Beautiful, faint glimmer.
Throwing it probably where Quill and Javen are, sort of fill the area.
Probably. I don't know why, but the templates aren't showing up for me.
Uh-oh.
I don't know where they went.
Womp, womp, womp.
I'm
Probably
somewhat
a
assuming we had that last conversation basically after the hour went by and the magic was still there.
Well, that's why I was looking for a consensus. Like, y'all just taking a short rest and then a long rest?
Mm-hmm.
As was Gregory's plan.
Okay. Is Luna just jumping to sleep right now?
Sleeps for short
Yep, good night.
long rests.
Okay. So
Alright.
basically, you guys are taking some time first, just sort of winding down from the experience you just had rather than the whole day. So you start sitting and waiting for about an hour or so. It's strangely calm now. Maybe the sense of this magic that Mila gifted this area with is giving you a sense of relief. The air seems a little more lively, able to breathe it in and actually feel like you're getting a full breath. Kind of relaxing. And yep, some of you able to regain your energy. Javen, you see him sitting there meditating and nursing a bottle of something. Quill sharpening his sword and regaining his own. And then after that hour fades, Persephone, you probably notice it first. Sort of looking off into the distance, and you could see, at least down by the tree on the ground, looks like a shadow at first, but then it's not moving. It's just a single splotch on the ground. A single dark mark. You sort of watch it maybe for like the next 10 minutes or so, and then with your sharp eyes, you're seeing more of them pop up around the map. Slowly spreading in size and growing. Looks like a burn is starting to appear in these spaces around you.
Guys, we're not alone anymore.
What are they just appearing?
It looks like it's similar to when you first found them. They're not quite as large. These scorch marks are just of soot are starting to spread out in these little tendrils as if something was burning into the ground, but there's nothing there to burn. There's nothing there burning. As they're starting, almost like these things are starting to come back.
How late into our rest was this happening?
This is after your first hour, and then after the hour fades, maybe like about 20 minutes, Persephone's starting to notice these marks appear. Then maybe 10, 20 minutes after that, more of them start appearing and spreading. And then, yeah, by then, you guys up here start noticing them too. The ground no longer seems quite as like silvery or glittering. You see like the wall behind you, there was a weird mark, and then it begins spreading larger and more, and you can see like, it looks like cinders at the center of it.
It looks like we ain't getting no sleep.
No.
We need to keep going. Are you okay?
You turn, you look, you're putting your hand on her, and you have something, and then so it just gives. It's just like you were touching something, and then it was gone.
Oh no. Baba Ima?
Oh, it's not good.
I think she's gone, guys.
Hell.
Do you know which way she...
No, I was only able to keep an eye on her for about 10 minutes, and if I try to use magic to look for her, well, that's just going to be another bit of magic that I'm using, and I'm trying to preserve my powers.
Do I get my eyes back on a short rest? I don't remember.
I don't think you do.
Long rest. Still don't have
So-
any eyes.
So it was like I felt her there, and then I didn't. Is that what it was?
It seems like it. Like you reach out to touch, and it should feel like she's there, but then immediately it sort of gives, as if some sort of maybe like a illusion of feeling was there. Like she stopped crying a while ago.
Well,
But give me an investigation check as you're looking down at the spot she was once at. Hey, +5.
Let me see if it applies to investigation, because I know it's only for some of them.
Oh, well, still good. You look down and you can see the ground looks like when she crawled up here, she left a bunch of claw marks. But then you look over the side and you see more claw marks sort of going down the tree. They didn't even notice they were there. And you lean over the side and you can sort of see some markings heading off in a different direction, but it's kind of hard to tell just by you're looking at really close to notice them, and now you notice they're heading away.
I'm going to scurry down the tree. I am angry. I'm going to go
No,
in
no.
the direction I saw them go towards. Baba Ima, you get back here right now. You promised you were going to take us to your sister. Marjorie's life is at stake. How dare you?
Why are people yelling?
The hell is going on?
I think she ran away. Luna,
Gone to
we need to
plan.
go.
Wake up.
She running off. Damn
Yes,
it.
she is gone.
Tell where the hell she's going. Is she?
I
Maybe
don't-
she's running after her sister. Come on, y'all,
gonna-
y'all, come
Does Persephone have the trail?
She saw them going down the tree, but she didn't really see where they went. I need some sort of survival eye on that.
Oh, I'm gonna look for it then.
Sure, give me that survival check, baby.
What happened?
Yeah, I'll help Quill with that, trying to get a look around also. I'm proficient in it.
Gave
Sure,
Persephone
you give
the
that another
slip.
roll, Quill. Okay. As you're looking at the ground, I'm not really sure what she's talking about. You can see like these black spots beginning to form and grow in size, this growing cinder, and then you see something, oh Jesus, along the ground. After a strange ethereal wind blows in, you see, it looks like a scratch along the earth, like a claw had just torn, as if something were trying to run? Although how would it do so quietly? And looking up, you see it goes down from the tree and starts to head up. Looks like in the northwestern direction.
I think it's off to the northwest.
Alright, do we follow thinking she's run off to her sister? I mean, we ain't got much other choice.
Either way, we need to find her.
Yeah.
She's
Come
just
on,
marching,
Javen.
marching on ahead. She's all huffy. She's just an angry little bush.
Oh wow, it's almost like she's angry at us. We're lying to her. Like I said,
We know we need to get to Thistle. It's just a matter of getting to Thistle. That's the problem, right?
Yeah. This is the direction we were heading in, so I'm hoping that's where she's going.
As Quill, you're sort of leading the way, following after these scratches in the ground. They become a little harder to follow as you're basically starting to trudge through the trees. There's no more real trail anymore. But as you do, you start to notice, like, you see like a large patch of trees in front of you, and you're like, I can't go there, right into them. And then you look closer, and oh, they're translucent. And you put your hand into them, and you just simply walk into the tree. As it seems like a lot of the forest that seems to be obfuscating your vision is actually just, well, the forest left behind, if you understood Samantha's explanation correctly enough.
It's all a mirage.
So continue to walk for maybe about an hour or two. Your body's getting a little heavy on you, but you just got a quick rest, so you're able to keep strong. And then, again, you guys start to see similar sights as you did before, this time in greater patches and in greater sizes. The sides of trees, and even sometimes entire trees themselves, consume and twisted in this dark, black, ethereal shadow, like ashes and soot. Until eventually you come across, it looks like you see more of these ethereal trees, but most of them have been sort of worn away. And instead, you see these things that should be standing to great heights, like fallen and twisted and torn and all these strange shapes. Most of them just completely blackened. And at the center of it all, in this grand opening, you see a massive tree, taller than any other, wide, incredibly wide, like so wide it'd almost be the size of a building to you, reaching up in this gnarled, twisted shape like claws winding around each other, and the entire thing is singed black.
Does it look
And
familiar to me at all?
it looks similar to the Hamadryas, but there's no distinct form or head or legs or arms besides these twisted claw-like branches that wind up around it in like a helix. It just sort of looks like if it was like a twin of that tree, but this one was horribly mangled or raised in a terrible place. And you guys see standing in front of it this small hooded figure, like putting her hands against the bark. See Baba Ima. As you enter this area, you can hear her now just sort of mumbling and calling, "Sister! Sister, I need you! Why aren't you answering me, sister? Sister!"
There she is.
Baba Ima?
No, please. Sister? Sister, we really need you right now.
Why did you leave? No one was
You
hurting
wouldn't make her go away. You wouldn't make her go away. You wouldn't say she was away so Sister could get her away. Sister, please.
Baba Ima, it's okay. Mila's not here now. You're fine. No, look. She hadn't been with us for a long while.
She's gone. You made her leave.
Of course we did.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Thank you. And then you hear the sound of wood tearing, and you hear calling out over the entire area.
Oh, sister. What brings you here? All the way to my realm. You know I don't like it when you come knocking.
As the wood in front of you, at like about 30 feet high, and this almost like 90-foot tall tree begins to, actually 60-foot tall tree, begins to tear as you see like these long, spindly, look like the legs of spiders sticking out from the folds of these branches. And then they just start to pull and tear, and you realize that those strange, spidery legs are not legs. They're fingers. Long, thin, and sharp. And as it pries apart the bark, you see this long, flowing head of pure white hair looming its way out. And this tall, gangly body of dark gray skin reveals itself. It's wearing this, like, dark blue robe that seems relatively well kept compared to what you've seen of Baba Ima. But what really stands out besides these tiny, beady blue embers amidst these deep pits of black in her eyes, and the large, twisted mouth full of sharp teeth, is what rests on her head. You see a pair of twisted horns like that you'd expect of a demon. Stretching from her head, this woman just seems to look down with a grand smile, more cruel than kind, as she steps out from the edge, almost like she's about to step off of this tree, and she just sort of floats in the air, as you are all beset at the sight of the surviving member of the Wives of Ash. You meet Ash and Lynn.
All right.
Conjure forth an eldritch bow with an arrow knocked pointed not at Ash and Lynn, but at Baba Ima. And all of my snakes just turn up to look and just start hissing at her, just angrily. I have forced her to bring us here to confront you, you witch. It's an infernal.
Ooh. It's kind of aggravating, Samantha. You put on this grand display, you put on your show, you aim your bow, and your voice is powerful. You know in this moment you've got her. And her head does not turn your way. It's almost like her head is just fixed down at her sister with that big twisted grin. And she speaks. Why have you come all this way, Baba? I told you to stay put. I would come to you when I am ready. Why don't you go home? I promise I'll be back soon. Bobby kind of looks back to you, Samantha, and back up to Ash and Lynn.
Sister, we need to talk. These people, I see them, Baba, but they don't matter. Go home. Get some rest. You've come a long way and you're confused. I can see it. But I'm here to talk about Marjorie. They say she's dying, Baba. You're tired and you're confused.
My name is Samantha Deus, and I will not be ignored!
As her head just careens up to you.
Eldrid's bow pointed up at her.
An audience from a serpent. Very well. What do you want to talk about? Marjorie, I promise you she's fine.
For a fact, you lie.
I raise a hand towards Samantha just to silently tell her just kind of ease off a little bit.
Lie. I am his sister to be. I would never hope to bring her life to an end, I promise. Baba, when did you start bringing such unruly children? Oh, I get it, sweetie. They need punishment, don't they? You tried, it didn't work, did it? Sister, they say Marjorie's dying. I've seen it with my own eyes. Just please tell me this is not true. Sister, this is why I do the thinking.
Sweetie, 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 as she starts to float down ever so softly, only making about 20 feet or so, still keeping herself well above the rest of you, as well as Baba Ima.
I promise, she is not going to die. If you need me to spell things out for you, sister. Yes, I am with Marjorie now. She resides within on the other side. I've been keeping my eye on her. And yes, maybe I have been toying with her needs. But it's for her own good, Baba. You must understand. The longer she stays in control of her powers, the more they'll be tarnished. I'm giving them a chance to flourish. Try to get to know them better. But you say she's dying? You're taking her dreams? Only if Bob. She will live. She will live. If only on the fringe, she will live.
But is that a real thing? Or suffer in such a way?
Temporary suffering. My goal is not to kill my sweet sister-to-be. She's in a cage. And there's no way for myself, oh little Baba, to open it, to break it. But that lovely mother of hers granted us the perfect opportunity to do so. We can't break the cage from the outside. But sweet sister, oh, that soul of Yaga Jiva, it's powerful. Give it some time to bloom like a beautiful rose, and it will overtake that garden and break those cages.
And if you're wrong,
What does Baba Emo look like hearing this from Ash and Lynn?
She's confused. Just her eyes fixed up on her sister just seems to be like she's growing more confused and scared, and you see her just sort of like holding her head as if like she's being just like overthinking or something.
Whether that village breaks or burns, it doesn't matter. I know that dreaded Eshe will protect her. It's fine. She's exactly where she needs to be. At the heart of things. And slowly but surely, she's breaking as well. I wonder what will happen first. Will the guardian of this all die a martyr to keep her word? And let us in, no more magic stopping us? Or will she break her word and throw Marjorie out to protect her people? Either way, the cage will break, and Marjorie will be rightfully with her family.
I let go of my necklace around my neck. You can see the holy symbols glowing around. There you have it then. That's all it is. It's just greed. You want to take what you want, and you don't give a damn who gets hurt in the process. You don't care how many people lives are destroyed because of all this. You don't care if you drive your own damn system mad. You don't care about the goodness that you might have once been, because you ain't that anymore, are you? You
It's
just...
not about what I am, little man. About what will become. About what will return. Papa, you look tired, sweetie. She holds out her finger. Come on, then. Get some rest. And then, almost like her finger extends like a dart, this tiny little bolt of magic just hits Baba Ima in the head. And he's like, ow! Sister! And you see Quill and Persephone, her eyes just go fill with black, inky darkness.
Baba Ima?
Good. Now she doesn't have to see us break you.
Break me, you say. You think you're fighting me? You think you're going to cut me down? You may have found my realm, you ugly little children. But you do not face Ashen Lin. And she reaches her hand back to the tree and just tears away some of the shadow. And it seems like it runs up like a fire along this burnt tree until it coalesces at the top. And you can see, for a moment, it seems like white light is coalescing. Killing my sister. I would never dream of such a thing. But collecting a bit of her life, it proves useful. Especially when vicious little intruders show their head. And that white light coalescing like a bright flame begins to singe and darken, and it rises up into a shape that sort of wavers until part of it sort of falls down gently around what looks to be a head and shoulders. As resting atop this 60-foot tall tree, you see a humanoid shape, somewhat familiar, only for basically the glowing white eyes that peer down among you all. As you do not face me alone, though broken, and though tattered, soon to be fixed, you'll face the wives of Ash, as this form coalesces into a familiar-shaped shadow, as you see, at least from what some of you can tell, marred with a strange glowing mark upon her forehead, a weird imitation of Ashen Lin. As that is where we will end tonight's session. As the Valiant Seven enter into a terrible state. A world no longer controlled by the light of gods, but one untouched by the hands of a fiend. You face not Ashen Lin, not Baba Ima, not even the shadows that reside here, but the return of the Wives of Ash. Join us on another week as we return to Song of Rapture for the final chapter of the Witch Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
On 4th of July. So, fuck fireworks, come here and see these magical fireworks, because there's no way that we're not playing next week after this.
Are you doing that to us, Omen?
I mean, it's up to you guys. I'm down to play next week unless something immediately comes up.
I won't be here.
Yeah, that's one thing I was considering. I was like,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think we're missing. I think we're also missing Peter.
oh,
No, never mind. No, that was Ryan goofing.
oh,
It might just be John. I don't know. I'll be here because it's a Thursday. I ain't doing shit on Thursday.
Because I've got family here. It's the 4th of July. It's like saying, like, oh, no, fuck it, man. Christmas? Fuck it. We'll just play on Christmas.
Yeah, some people.
When you got a late 4th of July is like Christmas, man.
Yeah.
Some people can do shit during the week. They don't have to wait for the weekends.
Yeah, some people take PTO.
Oh, true. True.
You better not be having to go in the office on Thursday.
Nah, I gotta go back on Friday, but...
I'll tell your dad that you guys need the Friday off, too.
You can always check Twitter for any changes or updates. If something comes up, maybe Peter will be whisked away, as he has been in the past. We shall see. But, for now... pencil us in for this Sunday, of course. We will be back with The Expanse. Are you going to be there for that, John? Because you're Lannister.
Maybe.
You're Lannister. I mean, I guess if Peter's there, he can also be a Lannister. Like, you guys have a good back and forth going with that.
The Bash Brothers.
Yep, be sure to tune in this Sunday for The Expanse as we continue on pushing through the Tomb of Bane. And, well, now that we have put eyes to the plans of Karseth, we have seen all that he has been plotting deep underground for, it seems, quite a very long time. But his plans are not what we are here to thwart. They are at their apex, and we will put an end to them. Now that he is so close to completion. Speaking of apex, we will not be having a game this Tuesday. The Apex Alliance will be off as we enjoy the holidays and etc, etc, etc. Be sure to tune in the following Tuesday, though, as we will be making our wonderful return as we push into this temple, deep underground and full of horrors. So you do not want to miss it. Next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Expanse this Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern, and the 4th of July, pending any changes, we'll be coming back to put an end to the Wives of Ash, hopefully. Or perhaps the Elderbark and maybe even the world will change for the worse. Be sure to tune in for Song of Rapture as we take on this horrifying and fiendish group of witches at 7:30 p.m. Eastern this upcoming Thursday, 4th of July. Other than that, I want to give a big shout out to our wonderful sponsors, Arts and Coffee, without whom Melanie would just be like passed the fuck out. She needed some fucking coffee. Gotta get that plus ultra caffeine boost. So be sure to check it out and get yourself some as well in case you need to power through a long session. You had a tough day at work, you gotta play some D&D, you can't be falling asleep, you're behind the screen. You need caffeine boost plus ultra coffee. So check it out, artsandcoffee.com, and use promo code LION10, sweet discount as well. We also have some kick-ass and awesome and super comfy merch just below that. Even, is that Brendan? Is Brendan wearing the shirt too? Brendan, let me see your shirt. You're wearing it. It's so comfy and great, and it has a cool-ass, kick-ass line on it. Get one today. There's also 3 remaining prints of Yolder as well, if you want to get one of those. Yeah. I think that should be it.
Guys, he made it.
Hey, Peter!
I thought the stream ended.
No,
It
we're
is.
still live.
Oh, oops.
For like one more minute.
Yeah, I mistimed it. I tried
Everybody,
to.
it's Peter. Everyone's still in the chat.
I've actually been here. I've been watching the stream for like an hour. I thought you. I came home at like 9:50, and I was like, oh, I won't join in. And then it goes on for another 50.
As it does.
As it does.
Or it ends 2 hours
As you
early.
do.
You know.
Yeah. Because I looked, I was like, oh, it's almost 10. Okay, Omen's going to end the game here. It did not, in fact, end in 10 minutes. So I just awkwardly watched the stream.
Glad you
Wow,
could
that's
join
pretty
us.
cool. Oh yeah, congrats on the sword.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Fucking great. It was fucking great, but there's more. So be sure to catch it. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching. We're going to go host somebody else that's playing some D&D. And as always, Dice roll 20s, and you always make your saves.
Later, y'all.
Toodles!
The sphere itself begins like this well of power begins to change color from this like dark kind of swirling green back into like a comfortable like purple color, and at this point there's like kind of echoing throughout the room. You don't hear exactly, you can't see exactly what changes, but you do hear things begin to move slightly differently, like as more stuff kind of begins to move. It's almost as if the crystal itself, this well of power, like being pulled at, was causing things to kind of move erratically. You sense now that some sort of order has been returned to everything. At this point, there are now 3 creatures that have reached right above you guys, and you guys now hear thundering. Well, those of you who aren't in the sphere now hear large footfalls as several rather large creatures are approaching from the opposite side, growing very much close. What are you guys doing? It's going to be based on the turnover. It's going to be Tortang. You're going to respond at this point. What are you doing?
Well, I'm still back towards the sphere, so I don't hear any sort of that stuff. So I'm just going to sit there and wait and see if I see anything. So I'm going to hold a dagger to throw at something if it comes in my sight.
Yeah, roll me another perception check.
Sure.
It's going to be again disadvantage because you can't hear them, but.
That's a 17.
Yeah. At this point, you kind of